I'm really excited that we've announced the 4 NASCAR National Series in our 4 game. For the first time ever, we're going to feature the ARCA Menards Racing Series and the entry point for the career mode. Featuring all 4 series allow us to give the player a complete experience that somebody might make to become a champion.
So why having ARCA trucks, Xfinity and Cup is so important, especially from a design perspective, is we finally get to do what is a realistic career mode that somebody would actually follow in real life. Think about the drivers who started in ARCA, cut their teeth in ARCA, went then to trucks, got noticed, got to Xfinity, and finally made their mark in Cup.
So yeah, Todd and I spent a lot of time just talking about the feeling of what it would be like if you were a young kid and you're starting your grandpa's shop, and his shop was this like dirty old gas station, and he just kind of said, hey, you can use my shop, there's the tools, have at it. And then through that, you started to realize that you actually had some talent. And you worked your way up, and you went from the shop to there was a pole barn or a metal building that's also on the property, and that's where you run your truck team. And then you start to get more sponsors, and you start to have more success. So then you move up to the Xfinity Series, and then at that point you can build your own shop. And you get more success there, and it just keeps steamrolling. And then all of a sudden you get to the point where you're in the Cup Series. And that's where we built the Taj Mahal of race shops.
In the career mode, you'll be tasked with making decisions on how to spend your time. And it's not all about just what you do on the racetrack. You're going to have to do things to build your reputation. And that might be charitable work or a movie opportunity. There's going to be things that your sponsors ask you to do. And you'll have to balance between building your reputation and your brand and being successful on the racetrack.
Having access to Dale Jr. has been amazing. We've never had the ability to work with a driver at this level before, and not just somebody who just comes in and plays the game and says, that's good. He's actually actively involved in helping design the game.
Designing out the career mode was a Herculean effort because you want to make sure that you have all the right details in there about what makes a NASCAR career really authentic. But at the same time, you don't want to make everybody have to go through all the minutia of managing a race team and the finances and the employees. So really, it's a nice balance, and I think we've pulled this off really well in NASCAR 25, where if you want to just concentrate as being a driver, you can do that while mildly being involved in some of the decision making. But if you want to go in there and manage every last little detail, you're going to be able to do that as well.
I feel like it gives them more of a perspective of how it actually works, right? Coming up through the ranks, deciding how to upgrade your vehicle, right? Those are decisions that you've got to make in real life. Do you want to buy a new set of shocks? I only have this allocated amount of money, right? Do I buy a new set of shocks? Do I, rebuild my engine? Do I buy a new set of tires? And those are the decisions that, like I said, I've had to make in my career, and to be able to correlate, that story and create, sort of your own blueprint in your career, I think is a neat aspect of the game.
One of the cool things about finishing a race in this game is going to be how your performance has resonated within the social media world. So it's not just going to be drivers who might be commenting on how you performed during the race on social media, but some of the most popular NASCAR social media influencers will be chiming in as well. Part of this game being all about the driver's perspective is the interaction that drivers have between themselves and their crew chief and their spotter. So that's something that we're really focusing on while you're in the car, while you're driving, while you're in the menus, making it feel less like a UI screen and more like an interaction between you and them.
So we've really put together the most amazing team that I can think of to build a NASCAR game. We've got decades of experience across many of us, across every platform imaginable. We've got laser scanned assets. We've got amazing driving physics. We've got literally a company that has been built on the foundation of being authentic and true to the sport. And you add all those things together, and it's really this recipe to make the best NASCAR experience possible.
For more information about the game, visit NASCAR25.com, where you can sign up for email updates and view more content, and be sure to follow us on social media at NASCAR25Game.
Tonight on Countdown to Green, we take a look back at another phenomenal Daytona finish. We chat with a pair of eNASCAR veterans. And we take a look at how you're racing at home with the Logitech Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more coming up on Countdown to Green.
Hello and welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. This is Countdown to Green. I'm your host, Camille Salazar-Hadaway. Joining me as always, we have Ryan Vargas, we have Alan Cavana, and we have lots of fun. We are hoping that luck is on a lot of the driver's side as we go into Vegas tonight. But first, Ryan, Alan, how are you doing?
Man, I am so stoked. Vegas is one of my favorite tracks to race at and watch in real life, and especially on the sim. It's just multiple lanes of racing. It's going to lend itself to exciting action, and I can't wait to show get started.
Absolutely, and it's going to be hard to top what we saw in Daytona to start this season. I mean, some statements that were sent, a lot of the field chasing Steven Wilson now, but Vegas, like Ryan said, one of the better intermediate tracks we have, especially with this package of racing, these style of cars, and the drivers that are going to do it tonight. It's an exciting race. I can't wait for tonight.
Yes, we are excited to get into it, but before we do, Ryan, I thought we'd check in with another series that's happening alongside the main series. Of course, I'm talking College Series.
Oh yeah, the College Series, one of my favorite series. It's so cool to see all these incredible paint schemes representing all the colleges that these students go to. This is the highlights from the Talladega race. John Forbes Jr. getting it done on the high banks. But Alan, I mean, look at this. The racing is incredible. We talk about the Coke being the top all the time, but look at these guys getting after it.
Well, and it's just so cool because you can do this as a college student, earn a little bit of that scholarship money, some credits, and then you get to represent your school. Look at Belmont Abbey College there, just down the street from where I am here in Charlotte, North Carolina. But if you're one of these college students trying to make your name, you get to race against some of the best and learn how to crash at Talladega. But you get to race against the Steven Wilsons, the Logan Clampett. There is some mixing in there with these, with our Coke Series pros that are still racing down here with the College Series guys as well. And it's just valuable experience that if you can hang in the College Series, you can absolutely, Ryan, make your way into the Coke Series. And that's the part I love about it, is that you get the best mixture of both.
Yeah, and there's still time to qualify your way in. The time attack goes on until the 27th of this month. So make sure you get those times in, with the next race being on March 18th. And we got a bit of a paint scheme contest going on here. You check out the rules there, but this is open to all competitors of the A, B, and C class main event races for the College Series. So make sure you get those submissions in. Here's a really cool paint scheme submitted by Caleb Bryan from Missouri S&T. Just a really cool scheme. I love the reflective look on that. So if you want to learn more, scan the QR code and get your submissions in.
I love that. I feel like we have to maybe next race take a look back at some of these paint schemes that were submitted. That'd be pretty cool. I'm just saying, producers. But you know what? Let's talk about this series. And with that, let's talk about what happened in Daytona, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, look, the series is underway. Logan Clampett on the pole. Kind of tame, Ryan, to start off, right? I mean, it's the first race of the season. We saw some great drafting, some great packs, a little patience, but come on. This is the Coke Series here. A playoff win, or a potential playoff spot on the line if you get the win. It wasn't going to be quiet the entire time.
Definitely not, but you see the finishing order of this race. It was a who's who of guys to watch in the Coke this year. You had Steven Wilson getting the win. You had Casey Kerwin up at the front. You had the former champion Parker White up front. So there's a lot of guys up here who know how to do the speed race. We talk about it being luck, but the guys who kind of find themselves to the top of the point standings, they were towards the top here in this race.
Yeah. Some of the best were at the front throughout this race. I mean, former champions. We saw the Spire cars, Casey Kerwin, Steven Wilson, who obviously went on to get the victory. But experience seemed to really pay off here in terms of being able to stay out front and get the victory. And the best thing of all was how we opened this season, Ryan, coming to the checkered flag. I mean, watch this masterful move by Steven Wilson to get this bump from Parker White, the two last defending champions of our series, coming to the line to start this season. Steven Wilson getting the win by just that much. That's how tough it was to win at Daytona.
Yeah, yes, it was a tough one, definitely, Ryan. Taking that all in, Ryan, I know you got to say more, but I want to know, what were the thoughts coming out of Daytona, Ryan? Start with you.
For me, my thoughts are, can Steven Wilson continue this? Can he parlay this into, or I'm saying parlay because, we're heading to Vegas, but can he continue this? And also, now we're heading to an intermediate track. Now this is where you got to get comfortable with your setups, with your teammates. Who are the guys that are going to rise to the top here? And that's going to be the interesting thing to me. We saw it at Daytona. We saw some of the contenders. But now we take this drafting, take this speedway pack racing out of the mix. Who are going to be the guys that emerge as frontrunners to make the playoffs and fight for the championship?
And I'll just start at the top with what Steven Wilson did and the message that he sent to the rest of the field. Remember, Parker White is our defending champion, but Steven Wilson was in that final race last season at the NASCAR Hall of Fame racing there and didn't come away with the championship. He won the year before. So I believe that Steven Wilson has sent a message to the entire field that I am the one to beat. And look who we beat to the line. Yes, defending champion Parker White. Steven Wilson miffed last year. He was my pick to win the championship last year. Didn't get it done. He has sent a message to the entire field that he is back to get his second championship. I think he should have won last year still, but Parker White beat him. Opening race, Steven Wilson beat Parker White to the line.
All right, well, I'm hearing a lot of Parker Wilson chatter right now, but there is one driver that we're going to check in with that almost took home Vegas. I'm talking about Cody Bias.
My biggest motivation heading into 2025 is I just bought a new house and I need to pay for it. So, my name is Cody Bias from Myerstown, Pennsylvania. This is my 11th season in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. The track I'm looking forward to most this year is Las Vegas. I feel like I have some unfinished business there after last season, and the track I'm least looking forward to is definitely the Chicago Street Course. My favorite comfort food is pizza. A tip I received when I first started was when I was asking for help and I got shut down, so I had to learn it the hard way, and so I just worked harder to get to where I am today. My favorite track I've ever been to is Charlotte Motor Speedway. A tip for someone trying to get into the eNASCAR rank is try to just enjoy it. Enjoy the grind. Don't be afraid to ask questions and learn. Learn what the car does and just stay true to it and be patient, and eventually you'll get here. An absolute weapon on track is definitely, I would say, Colin Bowden. I'm a big golfer. I play a lot of golf each and every week, and yeah, I just enjoy it. Yeah, the 2025 eNASCAR champion is going to be me. My strategy at draft tracks is hit or miss. I like to try to ride up front, but normally I'm just awful and fall to the back, so neither works for me, but I tend to try to stay towards the front. The biggest accomplishment on iRacing so far is the multiple contender wins and my Coke Series win back in 2017. The way I want to be remembered is just someone who was always respectful and just handled himself well on and off the racetrack, and just someone that they enjoyed racing with.
Yeah, Cody Bias here. It's really cool. This is one of my favorite segments. Every single race that we do is getting to check out these drivers. And Cody Bias, he's always been an interesting one to me because he's kind of a sneaky pick every race. He finds himself towards the front. I remember specifically watching Indianapolis last year, and he was charging up to the front, battling for the lead. So Cody Bias, we talk about the Steven Wilsons and the Parker Whites a lot, but, Cody Bias, he's a good sleeper pick at a lot of races.
Yeah, he is, but look, what separates all those names you just said, Ryan? Checkered flags and championships. Cody Bias, you want to be remembered. You got to earn some of those and got to find that little difference. He's got motivation, that mortgage, guys. When those adult things hit, that'll motivate you one way or the other.
Well, I was just going to say, give him a break. He almost took home Vegas last year, and he's really focused on that mortgage, Buying a house is a big feat, and it's just great that, he has that extra motivation heading into tonight's race and the series this year. Now, with that, we are in Vegas, and we like to have lots of fun when we're here in Vegas, with one segment in particular that we always bring back. It's called Roll 'em or Fold 'em. This is where I'm going to ask Alan and Ryan questions about the series ahead, and we're going to see if they're going to roll them or if they're going to, fold them and not go with it. All right, our first question. Will we see more than 10 winners, Alan?
I say no. Fold them. Fold'em. No way do we see more than 10 winners. This series is so top heavy. And look, I know the rookies, the people who have made it for their first time here into the Coke series, they're good, but they're not as good as the top half of this series. The Steven Wilsons of the world, Parker Whites, Cody Kerwins, I can keep naming Nick Ottingers. That is so top heavy in terms of talent. I just don't see how you get more than 10 because some of these guys are going to win multiple races. That's how good they are, especially the fact that Steven Wilson won Daytona. If you consider that a wild card race, then, oh, maybe we get a new winner or a surprise winner. Steven Wilson took that possibility off the table. So that even makes me more confident in saying Fold'em that will not have more than 10 winners because the cream's going to rise and a lot of them will win multiple races.
All right, Alan, you're playing it a little tough. All right, second question. A segment winner makes the playoffs? Ryan, what do you think about this?
Oh, this is an easy answer. I'm going to roll them. It's a yes for me. I mean, at the end of the day, these segments, they're not based on wins. You don't have to win a race to win a segment. It's based off points. It's based off consistency. So if you're consistent through a specific segment of races, that means you're going to probably be pretty consistent throughout the year. So I would be absolutely floored if somebody who wins a segment doesn't make the playoff.
All right, you heard there. Let's go to our third question. Will we see a rookie get their first win this year? Alan?
100%. I say roll them because I know we said the series is top heavy with veterans, but the rookies are quite talented. Have you ever heard of a particular driver, broadcaster turned racer named Blake McCandless? Yeah, he's really good at Rockingham. We're going there this year. I think Blake can do well. He's got the junior motorsports equipment and a good team behind him. But you're seeing them right now, a talented field of rookies that can get it done. And we have some of those wild card races. We don't know some of these guys and their talents at these road courses that are coming up, Interlagos, Chicago Street Course. Maybe they can steal one. I think that happens. Rookie gets a win this year. Roll them.
You know, I like that one. Yeah. Don't underestimate a rookie, okay? Don't do it. Now, Ryan, for question 4, Bobby Z wins a road course. Are we going to see that this year?
Look, this may be my first year on Countdown to Green, but I'm not afraid to deliver a hot take. I'm going to fold him. I'm going to say that Bobby Z does not get a road course win this year because look at the field that we have this year. There's so much talent, so many champions. You have Parker White. You have all these guys, Steven Wilson, Casey Kerwin, guys who are finding themselves to the front. Vicente Salas, he fought for the win, fought up front at Brands Hatch. So it wouldn't surprise me if, some misfortune may come Bobby Z's way and one of these other guys gets a reverse victory.
All right. Oh. Okay, Alan, I'm going to you. Maybe some more positivity will come your way. It's not on Ryan's side right now. William Esports repeats as team champion, Alan?
Ooh, this is tough. Look, obviously they earned it last year, but I got to say Fold'em. One reason why, we have never had repeat team championship tier in the Coke series. Obviously they're talented, but there's so many good teams out there that will compete against the Williams team this year. Think about Spire just there. The way they move their offseason, they have Casey Kerwin, Steven Wilson, 2 former champions now on the team together. Of course, they're going to compete with Williams Esports. William Byron's team, still with Nick Adibos and Tucker Minter together. They really should compete for the team title. So I just think there is far too much competition to say Williams Esports is just going to repeat. Hasn't happened in history. It's not going to happen now.
Okay. William Esports. According to Alan, it could still happen. Question 6, will we see a new repeat champion, Ryan?
Look, this one's an easy one for me. Yes, we are going to see a new repeat champion. Yes, Ray Alfala, after all these years, is the only repeat champion still in the series today, but look at the competition we have this year. So many guys, Zach Novak, Steven Wilson, Parker White. I mean, these are names that we see consistently at the front fighting for wins, fighting for championships. It's only a matter of time.
All right. Well, this is our thoughts on Roll 'em or Fold 'em. Let us know on our socials what you think of these questions that we asked today. Ryan, earlier you mentioned that you like to hear from the drivers and you like to get to know them. Well, guess what? The production team behind the series decided to get to know the drivers in other ways with our rapid fire questions. That it's going to get really interesting to find out about what their favorite movie is.
I'm a big fan of The Wolf of Wall Street.
My favorite movie is The Incredibles.
My favorite movie is The Boondock Saints.
My favorite movie is Top Gun.
I'm gonna say the South Park movie. The Dark Knight is my favorite movie.
Never Back Down.
Favorite movie is Days of Thunder.
All the Fast and Furious movies.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
My favorite movie is The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
My favorite movie is 8 Mile. Yep. I had thought about it the second time. I was like, yeah, that's a better answer.
My favorite movie is Cars 2.
My favorite movie would be Cars 2.
My favorite movie is, I'll go with Interstellar. Tough choice.
I'll say my favorite movie is Interstellar.
My favorite movie is Interstellar.
My favorite movie, I'm gonna have to go Christopher Nolan, Interstellar.
The Cars movie.
Cars.
Any of the Cars movies.
Cars, without a doubt.
My favorite movie is Cars.
Interstellar. Best movie ever.
Interstellar would be my favorite movie.
Interstellar.
My favorite movie would be Interstellar.
Cars. Cars.
Favorite movie is definitely Cars. Or Days of Thunder.
I would say Cars is my favorite movie.
Cars.
Wow, okay. I feel like there were lots of cars there, Ryan.
Yeah.
A lot of cars, which is not surprising.
Yeah, I mean, look, Cars is the movie that got me into racing really at a young age. It was obviously the animated movie. I'm surprised by the number of Cars 2s that I heard. Look,
Yeah.
hot take. I don't know if that's a hot take. But, you had a bit of a Cars versus Interstellar there. So, I don't know. But two good themes there, I guess you could say.
Yeah, a couple things. We have Lightning McQueen versus Matthew McConaughey. I don't understand how we are picking between those two, but obviously there was two favorites. And let's talk about our boy Blake McCandless. He mentioned the South Park movie. When did he see that? He was 2.5 years old when that movie came out. It's one of the raunchiest films. Funny, yes. One of the raunchiest films. I just want to know what age he saw that film at to call it
Thank
his
goodness
favorite.
for streaming.
I mean, just a surprise to hear that come out of Blake's mouth.
I mean, it was a surprise to hear all of their movies, but you know what? I feel like I know them more, and also shout out to all the space nerds out there. I'm a fellow space nerd, so, we could bond over our love for Interstellar and Cars 1. Obviously, Cars 1 over 2 all the time. Always. Right, Ryan? All right. Well, for now, we're going to get to one of my favorite segments. It is time to see your rigs at home. This is our Show Us Your Rig segment, where we get to see what you got on your setup. And our first one, wait a second, Alan, this name looks very familiar.
Well, yeah, we saw his paint scheme in the college series, so now we know where he is racing from. I gotta say, Caleb, a great setup. You spent a lot of time and resources on the wheel, on the rim, on the monitor. We need some cable management, guys. Let's be honest here, because that's a lot of ugly cables. On your guitar, I like that, but nice job overall. But tighten those cables up.
Our next one, Timmy sent this in, Ryan.
Oh yeah, we got my boy Timmy Patch. He sent over his rig. Look at nice. I like the setup. It's really organized, nice diecast collection. But I'm looking at those Krispy Kreme gloves right there. That's a nice little setup there. I know our producer Drew. He's gonna have a thing to say about those.
Yeah, I love the Mark Martin diecast. He needs to endorse this because that is
yes
there.
That is true. Let's get to our third rig right here. This one is from Eric Wortley. Ooh, this is fresh. So clean.
Yeah, very clean, very simple. I like how the headphones and mic are hanging off there. I made the comment during our production meeting. It looks like that's where the CD-ROM would be, and everyone said I'm absolutely showing my age by making a CD-ROM reference. But Eric, good stuff there.
CD-ROM, what's that, Alan? All right, our next rig star is Andrew. Ryan, take us. There's a lot happening here, right?
Hey, look, a lot of people would see this kind of rig and scoff, but to me, this is the epitome of what iRacing is about. You could start literally like this. I mean, my first rig, I'm an A-class, I race. I started on a TV tray. So hats off to Andrew here. This is an ingenious setup here. I love it. And hopefully in a couple years, we can get you at least a new seat.
Hey, if you got to go to the bunker, at least you can iRace. So I like that.
You could iRace anywhere. We got you. Our next one is from Trevor Allen.
Oh, yeah, Trevor. Great setup. Look, you could have a friend over. You are seeing double. That is two triple monitor setups right there. So plenty of action to be had in this room. A lot of dedication going on, and I just like it. I mean, it's fun to do it with a friend there, and you can maybe talk some crap right next to your buddy in person and virtually online. So nothing wrong with that.
I feel like this is an invitation for one of us to join. Maybe. I don't know. Let us know. But you know what? All of you can join in on the fun by just sending us your rigs using the hashtag eNASCAR on all social media platforms and tagging iRacing and eNASCAR GG. We love to see them. We have lots of fun. For now, we're going to check back in with another driver in our series. This driver in particular is no stranger to winning at Vegas. Of course, I'm talking about Joe Graf Jr., FGR driver, Excel driver, Ryan Luza.
I really don't want to say it, but the GOAT of eNASCAR is Ray Alfalla. My name is Ryan Luza from Cypress, Texas. This is my 9th season in the NASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series. Hopefully I'll be the 2025 eNASCAR iRacing Series champion, but it could be anybody, honestly. Me and Ray have had a rivalry, I think, for many, many years, and now we've both kind of like slipped down. So hopefully he can get back in and, maybe we can both be competitive again. Biggest accomplishment is definitely winning the championship in 2017. I feel like I should have 3, but I only have 1. And hopefully we can get to 3. I think I just need to get better with this new car that we have. I've been struggling these past 2 or 3 years. So hopefully this is the year we figure it out, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to all of the short tracks. I'm not looking forward to the road courses or super speedways. Specifically road courses have always been awful for me, so hopefully we can be a little bit better there. I think Rockingham is going to be a good race for me. I know a lot of the guys aren't looking forward to it, but I think it'll be a good race, so hopefully it is. Interlagos is not going to be good for me. I've never seen the track, never turned a lap on the track, so hopefully it's going to be better than Chicago went for me. I think it will. It doesn't seem like too hard of a road course, but not going to be good. I mean, one tip is I just keep running laps, keep practicing. I mean, all of us were starting out at one point. There's always room to improve, even for me. But if you just put the effort in, you can definitely get into the series. I'd like to be remembered as the GOAT, but I'm getting a little bit old for that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's funny you hear Ryan Luza talk about wanting to be remembered as the GOAT, because you saw one of those highlights there. He had on his roof rail 0 time back when he was when he had won a championship. So it's cool to see him still out here. By the way, he's going to be a good pick for tonight. He has 4 wins here at Vegas, all before the next gen era though, so it's going to be interesting. But currently showing some good speed, sitting P4 on the time practice.
Yeah, look, this is a place where he is successful at. If you want to be the GOAT, you better start get out there grazing and get a few more championships, Ryan. I mean, you're plenty young, but you got to get those titles up.
Of course, Alan would say you're plenty young because he's not that young yet. But you know what, Ryan? Enough talk about age. Let's talk about the track.
Oh yeah, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. This is one of my favorite tracks on the circuit. This place is 1.5 miles long. 20 degrees of banking in the turns, 9 degrees down the straight. This place opened pretty recently, 1996. Last year's winner was Keegan Leahy. This place, again, you're seeing it here, multi-groove racing. This is one of the most exciting places, especially that middle lane. I think that middle lane is going to be key here tonight. It's the smoothest and fastest way around this place.
All right. Thank you, Ryan, for that. Let's go into one thing that we got to know going into these races, the trends. What do we see at Vegas, Alan?
Yeah, we've been there a bunch of times here in the Coke Series, so it's important to know only 2 Las Vegas winners have won from the pole. Brad Davies back in 2011 and Marcus Lindsay in 2013. It's been a while since anybody has won from the pole. Watch that in qualifying tonight. In 66% of all the races at Las Vegas, the winner has led the most laps. If you can get out front, there's Michael Conti doing it. If you can get out front, control the race, Keegan Leahy last year, you have a great shot at winning it. You just got to get out front to do it. 4 drivers have won their first ever race at Las Vegas. Banerjee won in 2010. Jack Sturgios won in 2012. Marcus Lindsay in 2013, we told you about. And Ryan Luza, who we just heard from, his first win here was in 2017. Ryan Luza is the only driver to win at Las Vegas and then make the championship 4 in the same season. If I remember correctly, he's actually done it twice. So a win here for him, especially if he does it in the spring. He has shown he can get it done later on in the season and get all the way to that championship 4. If he can win tonight, old 0 time in that highlight, can he get to the NASCAR Hall of Fame, the championship 4 finale? That journey starts tonight, and he's, of course, the winningest driver at Las Vegas. Done it 4 times in 8 years, including those 4 wins out of 5 years. But as Ryan mentioned, never the next-gen era. What can he do tonight? We will see.
Ooh, we're gonna have to see. But before we do that, we're so close to the race starting. We gotta, of course, talk about our driver picks. This is where we make picks for every race, and based on the points of the placement of our picks, well, we crown a winner. Right now, we're tied, although in rehearsal, Alan thought he was in the lead. Make it make sense, Ryan. Make it make sense.
Behind. I mean, I'm not behind anybody. Therefore, I am technically in the lead.
You know what? That's a good way to look at it. That's a glass half full mentality.
There you go.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let's look at our picks for tonight, Ryan. Who do you got?
Look, mine was kind of an easy pick, but I'm going to go with Bobby Z. Bobby Zielinski's going to get it done here tonight. He ran top 3 for half the race last year before a costly mistake in turn 2. Pretty much took him out of contention. So for me, I'm keeping my eyes on the ERA driver.
All right. Not bad. Bobby Z at an oval. Interesting, but I'm going with a sure pick here. Tucker Minter. Tucker's going to get it done for Willie B. William Byron, sim to pro, 2-time Daytona 500 winner. So, of course, the next time his drivers show up here in the eNASCAR series, one of them is going to get the win. Tonight, it's Tucker Minter.
All right. Well, it's so funny when we go through our picks because I was so close to picking either of your picks, but I actually went with Nick Ott. I'm going with Nick Ott this time. We're going to see if he's going to be able to do it. But you know what? It all comes down to what they're able to do on the track, and you never know whose race it is going to be. I'm just real excited to see how they do in Vegas. But any last thoughts, Ryan or Alan?
Man, you know, I think we're just going to be in for a treat tonight. We saw it in practice right there, how tight these guys are going to be racing. This is a heck of a racetrack here, and it's going to lend itself to some exciting action. So we're in for a bit of a treat.
It's going to be hard to top the season opener that we had in Daytona. 2 of the best drivers coming down to a last lap pass right at the line. But if it can be done anywhere, it's on a great oval like this at Las Vegas. A bunch of drivers in contention tonight. Should be fun.
All right, well, stick around because right after this break, the race starts. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching Countdown to Green. And from all of us here, enjoy the race.
Every time you sit behind the wheel, you buckle up for the unexpected. You get ready to take on the competition and brace yourself for the chaos, the speed, the weather, the unknown. But above all, when strapping in, you put trust in yourself, your intuition, making your guide to win, your drive to win.
He's a winner in this.
And nothing is going to stop you from winning.
Welcome to the Proving Ground. Welcome to fist pumping, cylinder thumping, metal crunching.
Some big hits right there.
It's all or nothing for 26 weeks of the year.
The wait is finally over.
Welcome to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, only on the CW.
Tried to drag me down, but look who's laughing now. Look who's laughing now. I believe in something that I can't explain. The wind is calling out my name. Let it rain on me. Put in hours, and I'm not gonna wait in line. I'm gonna take what's mine for the world to see. You gotta take the lead. You gotta feel the fire. It's all I see.
The road to $500,000 races through the Silver State and into America's racing showplace. From iRacing's virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 2 of the 2025 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Well, let's just get it out of the way, and let's get these puns going. These drivers are ready to roll the dice. Tonight's jackpot is a ticket to the playoffs as we get into what many consider the real part of the year, Kenneth. The season opener, the chaos of Daytona is behind us, and it gets real tonight. First intermediate racetrack of the season. These races, 4 of them make a big part of this calendar. It includes an intermediate race at Homestead for the finale. So if you're good here tonight in Vegas, could be a sign of things to come.
Well, for the pun side of things, Evan, this is where the drivers unfold their best hands. This is where everything comes down to it. And for a lot of the drivers, they don't see Daytona as race 1. They see this as the first proper step to that $500,000 mark at the end of the season at Homestead in Miami. And you're right, in the sense where the segments mean a lot for the point standings and everything in between, drivers are going to put their best foot forward. And at a mile and a half that challenges you like Las Vegas does, the drivers are going to be on tap the entire race.
We appreciate you joining us for this one. Here's your reminder for NASCAR Fan Rewards members. Sign in now and enter tonight's code to receive your 50 points on your membership dashboard. And if you're not a Fan Rewards member, you can scan the QR code and visit NASCAR.com to sign up today. Don't mind me. I take a picture of the code myself as well because I signed up over the weekend watching some of the Cup Series action at Atlanta. So we encourage you to join that and to make sure you're joining us every week so you can participate and get those points all season long. Well, the field is rolling. Qualifying has come and gone. Let's go trackside and take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid, and it'll be pole position for the Canani Sports number 11 of Vicente Salas. He'll bring us to the green flag. He's alongside the Spire Motorsports 77 of Steven Wilson. Row number 2, we'll see the Williams Esports 51 of Donovan Strauss and the Channel 199 Sim Racing number 2 of Zach Novak. Row number 3, it is the FGRXL eRacing number 12 of Ryan Luza and the Apex Racing Teams number 96 of Christopher Hill. Back on row 4, it is the 6 Karma 39 of Daniel Falkenham and the Hayek Motorsports 47 of Dylan Alt. And on row 5, rounding out your top 10, the Williams Esports 95 of Parker White and the Spire Motorsports number 7 of Femi Olachinbosen.
PS Plus competition has Garrett Lowe's number 99 Ford inside row number 6, and Blake McCandless for Junior Motorsports with a bit of support from Argentina. Maybe we'll talk about that. He's in 12th place to start tonight's event. Tyler Gary led a bunch of laps at Daytona 2 weeks ago. He'll try to roll from 13th for the eRacer camp. And Cody Bias, who was so close to winning this race last season, will try to get his proper first W at Vegas from the outside of row number 7. Dylan Duvall for Channel 199 Sim Racing is in the top 15. Team Dylan Esports has the number 33 of Taylor Hurst on the outside of the row in 16th place. Michael Cozy Jr. wants to avenge what happened to him at Daytona a couple of weeks ago. He's 17th on the grid with William Byron Esports' Tucker Minter on the outside in 18th. Bobby Z. Zelensky for ERA Esports in the 22 will be 19th. And Quentin Warman in his rookie season for Hayak Motorsports is in the top 20.
That brings us halfway home, where you'll find the Junior Motorsports number 88 of Briar LaPrade to the inside, and the 6 car 19 of Eddie Kerner to the outside of row number 11. Row number 12, it is the BS Competition 89 at Jordy Lopez, and the number 48 machine to the outside. That is Graham Bolin with the Kansas City Pioneers. Lucky row 13, it may be a good sign tonight for the FGRXL eRacing 14th of Seth the Merchant, and the hometown team, the Vegas Inferno, have the 21 of Michael Guest starting in P26. Row 14, it's the eRacer 42 of Logan Clampett, and the Jim Beaver Esports number 15 of Colin Keister. And through your top 30, you'll find the RFK Racing number 6 of Colin Bowden, and the Kanani Esports 66 of Alexander Russell.
Blaze Crawford, rookie driver for Team Dylan Esports, is 31st. Kwame Scott for Latart Esports puts the 36th in 32nd place. Casey Kerwin rolls from deep in the field, 33rd for the Kansas City Pioneers. And the other half of the Vegas Inferno home team, Malik Ray for the 1 car, will be on the outside in row 17. Matt Bussa, 35th. Nick Ottinger, 36th. That's Kevin Harvick Incorporated, William Byron Esports represented in the row, followed by Jimmy Mullis, the other half of the KHI camp in the 29 car, with rookie Nate Stewart for Jim Beaver Esports on the outside in 38th. And bringing home the shotgun row of the field, row number 20, RFK Racing's Timothy Holmes and Connor Euroshak in the 40 car.
It's looked at the bottom at your Coca-Cola starting grid. Let's bring in the third member of our broadcast team. It's James Pike, who's dialed up with tonight's pole sitter.
Now that pole sitter is Temecula, California's Vicente Salas, representing Tony Kanaan Esports. Sensei, you've improved every time we've come to Las Vegas, whether or not it's Contender Series or Coke Series. What have you learned in your eNASCAR experience that's allowed you to become so successful at this track?
I think you just got to be prepared for the track to move around. It moved around in qualifying a little bit. We were running a different line than we were in practice. So I guess just being adaptable, being adaptable to what the track throws at you and being prepared for anything.
He was 8th in this race 1 year ago, and when he was last here in the Contender Series, he finished runner-up. That was a leapfrog run that catapulted him to a Contender Series title. He'll look to go P1 at the end of the night to bookend the evening.
We heard it on Countdown to Green. 2/3 of the time, the driver who leads the most laps at Las Vegas goes on to win, but we've only seen 2 pole sitters do it. We'll see where Vicente falls in those stat categories here tonight as he looks to punch his ticket to a 3rd career postseason appearance. Light's going to go out on top of the pace car this time by as we look to the 1 to go. Kenneth, walk us through what's coming up next as we look at our Logitech G race format.
Yeah, this race is 100 laps, typical of the 1.5-mile race lengths that we'll see over this 2025 season. So we'll go a little about 150 miles, pit road speed limit at 50 miles an hour. That'll be crucial if we find ourselves in green flag stop territories. That pit window sits at about 54 to 59 laps, so it should be a one-stopper until the end, unless we get some late race yellows that will shake things up. And Keegan Leahy was the winner last season, cannot defend his crown here at Vegas this year. We saw everything come down to a crash out of turn 4, and Leahy was the 3rd-placed car that took the checkered flag at the end. So Vegas is unpredictable. Off the racetrack, on the racetrack, the exact same thing.
So many things on the line, just like the Daytona opener, a race win would get you punched into the first round of the postseason. We're talking about segment championships, though, for the first 5 races. That's going to be a storyline as well. And of course, drivers know that this type of racetrack will be seen 3 other times, including that season finale in Homestead. If you're good on the intermediates, you got a good chance to make 2025 your season. Vicente Salas will line him up from the front position. He will be in control As the pace car will make the dive down to the safety of the pit lane this time, the field will go in the hands of the number 11 Kanan Esports Toyota. As always, happy that you're with us on a Tuesday night as we say, let's go racing in Vegas. Two by two for the first 10, some 3 wide in the mid-pack as they get through the gears and rocket for the first time down the Nellis straightaway. Advantage to the outside. Steven Wilson pushed by the 2 and Novak, a slight advantage, but the 11 Salas holds strong on the bottom. Look for that 77. They get the advantage as they come off of that progressively banked turn 4. Bit of contact coming to the end of lap number 1.
That wall outside of turn 4, Evan, comes at you quick, and when you're 3 wide, there's not as much space that you can use across this 1.5-mile speedway. We're still 3 wide in the middle of this top 15. Tyler Gary's in the thick of it. So is the 6 Karma Ford Mustang of Eddie Kerner, Michael Cozy Jr., a bunch of these guys settling their position, but this is exactly what we anticipated to see early, Evan, in this race. When you've got almost flat-out racing with the grip you have here in Vegas early in the run, everyone's going to be all over each other until those 15 to 20 laps under green settle in. And Steven Wilson, picking up right where he left off, takes the lead in turn 1.
And Wilson gets the advantage up at the front of the field. Meanwhile, here in the mid-pack, not a lot of separation. That iRacing drone gave you the best look at it. They are still 3 wide, with 21 Michael Guest representing the Vegas Inferno. Center of it all in that gold and white number 21 Chevrolet. Center of all of it. This nice, smooth, sweeping left hand for the tri-oval here at Vegas makes it a bit easier than some of the quad ovals to keep 2 and 3 wide, and the mid-pack gets back down to 2 by 2. That may have fizzled out all of the opening 3 wide action for the moment, as they're still tightly packed in. There's a shot off of the back of your race leader, Wilson, looking back on Donovan Strauss, who's now in P2. Zach Novak, that black and red car, 3rd in line, which means that your pole sitter, Salas, has slipped to P4.
And the big differentiator over this opening run, Evan, is going to be those bumps in turns 1 and 2. We haven't much talked about it, but in this first area of the racetrack, you'll see from Wilson's onboard, it is oscillating. The race car is down the bottom end of the speedway. So a lot of guys will use the middle lane to sort of smoothen out the entry into the apex for the race car. And a lot of times you'll see drivers bounce sideways or maybe get a touch of understeer, and that'll allow the guy on the outside to get the advantage off the corner. So early on, we saw that 3 and nearly 4 wide action through the first 5 or so laps, though already the field spreading out quite a bit behind Wilson.
Yeah, I can attest to the bumps. I think this is the only track on the calendar that I've driven my personal car on, having lived in Vegas for about 12 years. And of course, you triple that speed, double that speed. Yeah, these drivers are going to be feeling it in 1 and 2, a little bit in 3 and 4. Not so much on this scan of the racetrack as it has gotten to in the real world, but certainly 1 and 2 very prevalent. You go on board with Quentin Warman there, currently P19. He is center of all the chaos. It's only about a 1.5 seconds up to the race leader, but he's halfway down through the running order and going to get sealed off there. That's a nice clearing move by the 39, or the 99, I should say, Garrett Lowe, who almost went too high. It looked like Quentin tried to get a nose under, wasn't able to do so. The other car in this battle, that 34, Michael Cozy Jr., that is the ERA Esports Team Chevrolet on the bottom. Does that 50 look to go 3 wide? No, he'll duck behind the 34 for the moment and duck in line with the draft.
And that's Warman, who is one of 8 drivers in this race that are making their first ever starts at Las Vegas in the Coke Series. And a guy like Cozy, doesn't have that much experience as well. Only his 3rd start here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, given what he's been through over the course of his Coke Series career. So a lot of these guys still sort of getting their bearings together, if you will, early in the race.
Well, you take a look up front, one driver you don't see right there is Steven Wilson. His name is not currently showing on the leaderboard. That car is not currently showing on the racetrack. He went to the race lead, and I believe he is having a connection problem on his end of this connection to the iRacing service and to this shared space that all these drivers are racing in. So there is no Steven Wilson on track at the moment. Once we get confirmation on what his connection status is, we'll update you. But if that car drops all the way out of the session and has to reconnect, you're talking about minimum 5+ laps down. He did win a week ago, and that might soften the blow a touch, but points still matter. You could still have more race winners than playoff spots available, so you can't back her all the way down. And clearly some major issues issues on the jump here for your driver who was leading this race, and Steven Wilson, Kenneth.
Yeah, that's a big dagger for the 2023 champ of this series. And not only does he have the win to lock him in, you know, we talk about the segments in this series, how much in a bonus you could get if you win a segment. So I'm sure Wilson has the segment win in mind, and you take one race out in Las Vegas, you're already putting yourself behind the 8 ball, and your journey to the front is going to get so much tougher. And he's already officially disconnected from the server with the connection issues, so he will have to try and rapid fire his way back into this session and get back into it with the several laps down. He's going to have to pray for some sort of flurry of yellows to come his way. But such a big dagger for Wilson early on, but it helps Donovan Strauss lead a couple of laps early in the race.
And as you're mentioning that, it is confirmed Steven Wilson has dropped connection from the race. We will update you on if that car's able to get back on the racetrack or not. So that's going to move Zach Novak up a spot. That newly rebranded Channel 199 Sim Racing team entry is up to the number 2 position behind the wheel of that 2 car, and it has allowed Donovan Strauss to assume the race lead. There's an onboard look with both of your cars running in first and second position, and you can see Zach is not shy to remind us with the camera shot with a big check over his shoulder from when he won this series championship back in 2019. He would love a return to form this season. So far, so good. He's got a competitive machine here tonight.
Well, you throw back in time to 2019, and that's his best finish, Evan, here at Las Vegas. Second place, nearly won the race, but was just one spot shy in his 9th start in 2025. Novak could put himself in that exact same situation. We talked about it on Countdown to Green. The driver who leads the most laps more often than not wins this race, and Novak is already demonstrating his strength early on. And we're surprised to see a little bit of that fall off from the car right behind Novak in Vicente Salas, but I guess it's just that early lap jitter where you fall a little bit back into traffic based on how close everybody is. But as soon as you put your feeding back together, things are all okay. And for Salas, he'll tuck right behind that number 2 Toyota Camry, as the entire field, it appears, had mostly single filed out. And there's the driver you got to watch for that's already creeping up through the field in Ryan Luza, sitting single file in 11th.
Ryan Luza, 4-time race winner here in Las Vegas, leads old drivers old time. He would love to add to that, but as the Countdown to Green crew had mentioned, he has yet to do it in this generation of NASCAR Cup Series cars. So does Luza have the speed in the next gen that he has had in some of the prior iterations here at a familiar racetrack? He's in a good spot. You mentioned working his way through the field, hanging on to the end of the top 10 there after losing some spots. And look behind him, 3 wide, center of that. Going to be the 15 of Colin Keister at a tight spot. That's the 19 of Kerner to the outside. The 34 of Cozy to the bottom, using that paved apron, which is in play here in Vegas to his advantage. And they'll keep it 3 wide. Look at the 22 car way to the outside, trying to spool up some speed is Bobby Zelensky. He's got nowhere to go, though, stuck in line behind that 19.
You'll see that often in this race, Evan, particularly over the long run, is that when the drivers don't have space to be right behind 2 wide action and they think they're fast enough to make a move, they will not be hesitant in going near the boards at the outside wall and make a move. Las Vegas is conducive to multi-groove racing, so it's not like you go up there and you're in no man's land. You can make a proper run at it. And if you get a good run off of turn 2 to that Nellis straightaway, chances are when you got to whoa the car up a little more at the entry of turn 3, you can beat them to the braking marker and be able to get that slight advantage. And that's where the 3 wide really settles out in these really close packs at Vegas in this first stint.
And nearly 3 wide there as you're on board with Tyler Gary. They're doing their best U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds impression, who called the nearby Nellis Air Force Base home. I want to remind you, if you want to stay up to date with the standings, the schedule, and even on how you could be a part of this eNASCAR community, all that information and more can be found at eNASCAR.com, and that's going to be a slide. That 34 of Cozy pushed up the hill, and it's moved that 69 without contact. Gary just kind of followed him up into the outside wall. No major damage, didn't even lose a ton of momentum. So Gary, I think, going to be okay, but a close moment there off of turn number 2. And now look at that 50 car. Warman throwing some blocks. He lost some speed off of 4, and it set the Merchant getting to his outside.
The 3 to 4 mile an hour difference, Evan, is huge in this portion of the field where everyone is just trying to scrap and claw for whatever they can. And Warman, the rookie, just getting tossed around a little bit. Michael Guest and Garrett, two very experienced drivers right behind him, but he's playing stellar defense. Warman is at this juncture to hold on to the last spot inside this top 20. And with that incident with Michael Cozy Jr., it was a product of something I mentioned earlier, the bumps. The car gets unsettled. You get that touch of oversteer. The car slides up the banking, and Tyler Gary, who got the bit of dirty air right behind, could not get his car to handle clearly. So it threw out the opportunity for his car to get into the outside wall. Here's another look at it down screen, and there's Michael Cozy going up the racetrack. Gary getting the bit of the understeer from the turbulent air. There's nowhere he can go. He's already basically off the throttle by the time he gets to the rear end of Cozy's Chevrolet. So nothing that Gary could do there, but just avoided catastrophe off the second corner.
That quick glimpse up to the front of the field shows you new race leader Zach Novak was able to make a pass to the outside of Donovan Strauss 2 laps to go, so put the number 2 machine into the race lead, and there's still more action going on in the mid-pack, where you would think we were 2 laps removed from the restart and not 21, but they are using every inch of the racetrack. Look at that one car right up and on the outside fence, rimrod on the outside, trying to carry that speed off of the corner. You will see these drivers fan out. That is one of the benefits of this progressively banked tri-oval. 20 degrees of banking, of course, went through a major reconfiguration in 1996 after this was a much more flat intermediate racetrack in its first iteration. And how about Blaze Crawford, the Coca-Cola Zero Sugar colors on board that car, but you think Coke Zero, you think the black and red. How about the white and red? That thing would look good under the lights here in Vegas. That's maybe a fun idea for next time down the road. It's a good-looking race car. You're on board with him. He's in a hotly contested battle. That's the 98 car, Cody Bias all over him.
You know, Evan, the paint scheme in motorsports is the equivalent of a sports jersey for teams in stick and ball sports. So when you're able to play with the colors and have a bit of fun with the designs, it makes for excitement, not only when you get on the racetrack to race, but how you look when you're driving the race car. So I love the white and red on Blaze Crawford's number 3, who's, like many others, making his first coach start here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway after finishing 25th 2 weeks ago at Daytona. There's another good look at another good-looking race car, but it's one that has to face an uphill battle. Steven Wilson is finally connected, Evan, back into the server, but like you said, he's many laps down, 14 to the race leaders on lap 24.
Yeah, so clearly he had to do some advanced work to get that thing connected back to the session. I don't know if it was, had to mess with a router or something with his computer, but again, 14 laps down is an insurmountable gap. He's going to have to hope drivers drop out of this. Now, you look at the live points as we run. Again, he'll be still shown in the number 2 spot as a race winner. Now, there is a points position that you must maintain for that race win to count. I don't think we have to raise the red flags yet for Steven Wilson. He's a very good race car driver. I think he could meet that minimum point standard. But my point is, you look at this regular season, 14 races, 10 spots. So, well, yes, we are going to refer all season long, Kenneth, to you win and you're in. You kind of win and you're in with an asterisk because if there's 14 race winners, they're not all going to be able to get in. 2 makes it super safe. So, again, do not sound the alarm bells. Steven Wilson is going to be okay. However, a race win isn't that comfortable. It's not the end-all be-all until we get a couple of repeat winners, and one way he can help himself out is to be the guy to get repeat winners. Not going to happen for him tonight.
Yeah, Evan, and much like playing any table games at Las Vegas, it all comes up to chance. Nothing is fully certified, even if you do have a win, and momentum is everything in a series as short as this throughout 2025. It could either make some dreams a reality or crush some dreams expeditiously. And for Wilson, it may not throw any mercy to him, so he's got bad luck in this race. Not something that he will probably dwell on for a long time, but momentum can swing any driver's career in a positive or negative direction. And Steven will just keep his head locked down and try to get back into this race no matter what. We'll see whether he's actually able to complete this task or whether he will rebound at Interlagos in a couple of weeks' time and try to get another road course victory. There is Nick Ottinger. That is Camille's pick from Countdown to Green. Evan, one of the long-tenured drivers in this series, 13th start tonight at Las Vegas.
He's making some progress up 6 spots from where he started, but he is in the Hornets list. Let's ride on board with him. It's the Logitech G onboard camera. A lot of options there in the midfield as we jump back up front. We mentioned Zach Novak went to the race lead. He's led the last 11 laps consecutively, but there's two drivers who want to get in on that action, and that's Vicente Salas, your pole sitter, who dropped back early. He's in P2. And how about the 7 of Femi Olatunbosun? Biggest mover inside of the top 6. He's driven his way from 10th to 3rd and is applying the pressure.
One of the biggest movers all night long throughout this race, and is in his career one of the most consistent drivers here at this mile-and-a-half circuit in Las Vegas. In his 4th start this year, but his previous 3 starts all were top 10s. That includes a 6th place finish in his rookie campaign back in 2021. And what we saw out of him several weeks ago at Daytona, it was amazing to watch. The former Daytona winner leading some laps, being aggressive up front, trying to tally with his teammate Steven Wilson. So keep an eye on Femi. Really quick Chevrolet early on tonight, but 2 of those stacked drivers right in front. One of them in Salas, who was hungry after losing that pole-sitting position early on in this race. But Femi doing a great job saving the right front tire, keeping it to the inside. And he's got to look at Salas for a second this time.
Looking to the inside of the number 11 car, is that going to be the preferred position? We saw Novak go to the lead by using the outside line and being able to carry speed off of the corner, and that's going to prove to be too tricky. Nice defensive line for Salas. He'll stay in front. You're on board with the 39 of Falkingham. He had a bit of a run, opts to not force a move down to the inside. Seems like as we're now 30-plus laps into this run, maybe a little bit trickier to get that car to stick on the bottom. Look at that 11 car, tail happy off of turn 2, really sliding off the corner. But it seems clear Vicente going to do everything he can to not let that 7 get onto the outside of him, making him work on the bottom. Falkingham dealing with the same thing there. And just behind these two is both of the Williams Esports cars. Donovan Strauss, Parker White, they had a terrible Daytona, dead last in the team standings coming into this one. Well, they are on the move, and that 39 needs some of his teammate help, because here's Eddie Kerner joining the party. 2 Williams cars, 2 Six Karma cars, and they're all running right now inside of the top 7.
This is a mirror image, Evan, of what we saw at the Clash in those final laps. Both of the 6 Karma Ford Mustangs working against 2 of the Williams Esports Chevrolets, both of them in tandem. And what we saw out of Falkingham, Kerner, Strauss, and White was fun to watch at Daytona. Very different results across those 4. This is where you can start having the teammate work go into it. And that goes into a big factor of this mile-and-a-half race, Evan, is that the back-end driver of this Williams Esports camp, or in the case of Kerner for 6 Karma, they can play a little defense from the offense and the pressure that'll come from the cars right behind in the midst of this top 10. So keep an eye on what they can do to either slash some dirty air to the competition around them to help each other give themselves that proper lending hand to stay up front late in this run.
Olatunbosun going to go back under the 11 car as Salas. He was unsuccessful the last time. Can he slide him this time through? Almost all the way clear, but the 11 stayed there just by the fraction of a nose fascia, and now they'll stay door to door. Very different lines now. Femi to the bottom, Vicente to the very outside, trying to spool that speed up. Contact between the 2 of them. That 11 had a big run, and Femi gave him a bit of a shot to the door. It took all that momentum away. Femi, I think, clearly the faster car between these 2 now, but struggling to complete a pass on the bottom. Could he go for the 2-for-1 now? Not clear on the 11, but down to the inside of the 2 car, looking for the race lead.
Femi's got to tiptoe through the traffic, because when you get pinched every single corner, you can wear that right front down to the point where it is nearly undrivable at the inside of the racetrack. But he clears Novak, and Femi Olatunbosun, for the first time tonight, race leader. Novak and Salas will have to try to get some retaliation on their way, while Williams Esports and 6 Karma continue to hunt down the top 3. But Femi faster than everyone by nearly 2:10.7 over those last several laps, capitalizing on the moment, now in clean air.
He has been the man to look for. Femi looking for his first win since the Daytona opener back on February 15th of 2022. Here's a second look at what happened deeper in traffic on the bottom of the screen with Tyler Gary. Bit of a slide up mid-corner, a touch, a bobble, and a nice save there in the midfield. We continue to see these cars struggle more and more on the exit at turn number 2 as these tires continue to wear. We saw that fuel number, the pit stop range at the start of the race, only about 15, 16 laps away from being past halfway and inside of that fuel window. So these cars are going to be driving about as bad as you'll see them all night long right now, and that's why you're seeing cars make big moves. Femi Bosun up 9 spots to the race lead. Some other drivers struggling. Rookie Christopher Hill started P6. He's way down in 17th. So anytime you see big movers, there's got to be big losers. That's how it shakes out now as you go on board with Jordi Lopez, who sits in the number 13 spot right now. He's been on the up and up. He's passed 10 cars so far in this race.
And these are a lot of guys around Lopez, including himself, Evan, that started this race in the trenches, mid-top 20s, early top 20s, and then just trying to slowly work their way through the field. That's how they put an imprint on that first green flag stop. If we do continue to stay green throughout this race, because like I said in our Logitech race analysis, theoretically, if you stay green, you only need 1 stop to make it to the end of this race on fuel. So it's going to be more about how you save the rubbers, the shoes underneath the race car. And for these guys that are in the top 20, they know track position means basically everything, especially when you have to deal with late race restarts and you got to play a ton of defense. And Jordi Lopez will try another one inside on Tucker Minter. This fight for 12th with Bobby Z right in front of them.
It continues on. It's about 2 seconds off of the race leaders. There is no big gap here or there, but of course the field slowly starting to stretch out as we have been incident-free for the first 42 laps of this 100-lap contest. Couple of close moments. We mentioned that Stephen Wilson had dropped out of the session. He's back on track, 14 laps down. Taylor Hurst also just now coming down pit road at lap number 42. He's going to lose the lead lap status because of that. All 38 other cars, though, still on the lead lap and more or less still in touch with what we'll call the larger lead pack. As you can see, Hurst and the Dude Wipe Chevrolet leaving pit road. Maybe if that's a short pit strategy, trying to go for the longer run to the end, or if it was an issue for Hurst, we'll keep an eye on it. The benefit of pitting early is you're going to get fresh tires sooner. You're going to start putting down the fastest laps on track.
Yeah, but the caveat, the catch-22 in that is that as soon as you get the fresh tires early, everyone else pits behind you, then they have the fresh tires, and you have to play a lot of the defense. So it's the balance of what do you really prioritize, the fresh rubber at the end of the run or the track position? And the drivers fight that notion every single race, but particularly on these mile-and-a-halfs as they are bobbling it up through the mid-pack. That was a bunch of cars getting into the outside wall, 3 wide. Those are the 2 RFK Racing Fords, Colin Bowden and Timothy Holmes, and Quentin Warman, who we saw fighting through the trenches earlier on in this race, still 3 wide off turn 4. Ottinger, Crawford, and Jimmy Mullis. It's about 5 to 6 cars out wide in turn 1.
You'd think it's a battle for the race lead. No, folks, this one for 27th position on back. But these drivers just as aggressive as some of the moves we've seen at the front of the field. Look at that 25 car dicing to the inside. Nick Ottinger goes high to low, tries to put the Euro step on Timothy Holmes. Give him that spot off of turn 4. Working hard. Ottinger up 9 spots, trying to dig out of the trenches after a poor qualifying effort. He is one of the bigger movers on the racetrack as well, but still with some work to do. Up front, it is Femi Bosun, who's the 4th different driver to lead laps in this race. We're closing in on halfway. We're closing in on pit stops. We'll be right back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Every time you sit behind the wheel, you buckle up for the unexpected. You get ready to take on the competition and brace yourself for the chaos, the speed, the weather, the unknown. But above all, when strapping in, you put trust in yourself, your intuition, making your guide to win, your drive to win.
He's a winner in this.
And nothing is going to stop you from winning.
Welcome to more.
Got a great year ahead.
Where the roads don't have limits on how fast you can go.
Big crew, we're going to have to fall out right here.
Or the sights you're going to see.
Oh, we got trouble.
Welcome to new places. Familiar faces.
Wow.
And memories in the making.
Hey, baby.
Welcome to a whole new season of NASCAR.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. And by Sunoco. From fueling your favorite NASCAR teams to filling up at the pump, Sunoco is trusted to help vehicles perform at their peak. Sunoco. Performance is what we do.
We're back live in Las Vegas under the first caution flag of the afternoon after an incident on lap number 49. It puts us under the yellow condition and brings us to yellow flag pit stops. Here's the incident between Tyler Gary and Nate Stewart, 33rd and 34th. Kenneth, what do you see on this one? That 5 car gets high into the fence and then finished off by the 69.
Yeah, this is like the third time that we've seen Tyler Gary in a precarious spot off turn 2. And yeah, Nate Stewart just, it's a little eager. The car slides up. It's very understeery in those bumps off the corner. He taps the outside wall. And Gary is trying to come up to make that side draft happen or to just clear right behind Stewart. But they both make the contact. Gary gets into the quarter panel of Stewart and sends him spinning. Thankfully, Stewart did a good job to avoid hitting the inside wall. So both of those cars escape with basically no damage, but really tough. And like we heard over the radios over the green flag run, Bobby Zelensky said this is the worst that it's going to drive at this portion of the run. It's driving terrible right now. These drivers were dealing with very tough to handle cars, and so that's the product of it. You get some mistakes and a possible caution along the way.
And there's a look at the two different Spire Motorsports entries into very different spots. That 7 car of Femiel Tembosen leading this race, and the 77 to Stephen Wilson coming down pit road from 14 laps down. It was a pretty uniform decision on the pit lane. Almost everybody took 4 tires and fuel. The almost is because Seth DeMerchant may have been the only driver to go for 2. He only took right side tires. That's going to leapfrog him from 14th up to 3rd. But we were just talking about how bad they were handling on the old tires. I don't know if that's going to work. Typically, the law of averages would suggest if 39 cars do one thing and 1 car does the other, the 39 probably have a good grasp on things. That's an aggressive call for Seth, but he's known to do that. That's not a car in the 30s making a desperation move, Kenneth. I mean, he was just outside of the top 10. Now he's going to be up here, but it'll be really interesting what the old left sides can do for him.
Well, you make one of 2 decisions when you go on 2 tires as we get another look at that Logitech race format. You know, the race is running out. We're past halfway, so you got to make that decision to stand out at some point. But you either do it for 1, track position, or 2, to free the car up. If that car is a little understeery and you're not getting the turn through the apex that you'd want out of it, you take 2 right side tires fresh. You keep those old left side tires on. The car will steer a lot better through the corner. So maybe this is just an adjustment for the Merchant that happens to get him track position. He sits 3rd. Does he capitalize on the call?
Makes the math real easy. Everybody on the same fuel strategy and good to go to the scheduled distance. Green flag in the air. It is a massive restart advantage for the 7 of Ola Tembosen. Give them 3 car lengths as they head off to turn number 1. And a Merchant can pull up alongside the 11 of Salas. They'll be nose to nose through the gears in the battle for P2.
And there's Luza on the outside. Keep in mind that black-white Toyota Camry for FGR Excel going to be pushed by Donovan Strauss. And like we saw the first laps of this race, everyone all over each other. But Femi Olatunbosin probably happy. He's seeing the guys 2nd and 3rd fight for it side by side and getting themselves back using the drag with the side draft. Femi's going to stay up front. Sala's going to look for an outside charge near turn 1.
And now if you're that Savage car of Olot and Boasted, what do you do with speed and run coming behind? Santa Merchant washes up. He's struggling to keep that car low and to get it to rotate through the corner. So the 95 of Parker White's going to go below him. That puts the 14 in the middle. Now it's the 12 of Ryan Luza. 3 wide, uncomfortable position. Parker White still on the very inside, but now he's the driver without drafting help. And the middle lane gets formed up. Shades of Daytona 2 weeks ago, but it's on a 1.5 mile intermediate racetrack. Look how tight. 4 wide, even further back in line. Can they possibly make this work long term?
You got to find a way to get the advantage over the other. And if you're going to go 3 wide, you may as well do it here when the tires are fresh and you've got everything behind you momentum-wise. We're still 3 abreast, about 2 to 3 rows wide at the very back of this field. But Sector Merchant is in the middle of the sucker hole. Donovan Strauss, Parker White, and now a crash. That's Graham Boland near the outside wall. He'll take Nick Ottinger and a couple of others with him. And our second caution flag thrown from Las Vegas. Ottinger and Graham Boland, the heart of the incident. 4 wide was going to boil over at some point, Evan. It did in one fell swoop near turn 1.
And that exit off of 4 is pretty much the only spot you're ever going to get away with that. And we knew getting into 1 and certainly getting off of 2, that was going to be dicey. And I don't know what happens in this one. We'll have to wait to get a second look. Dylan Duvall in the 199 kind of occupying 2 lanes at once. You'll see it on the replay. The one of Malik Ray is the outside lane. The 48 of Graham Boland is on the bottom, but he's following in line with the cars up the road. That essentially puts him in the middle, right? He's not running the bottom of the racetrack at all, even though they're only 2 wide. And as they get into the corner, I don't know if the 199 of Duval sees an opening there or if that's just where the car's going off of the corner, but he kind of ends up in a 3/4 car width lane, and that's just not how the math is going to work out. And you'll see it here. He ends up kind of sandwiched between the 1 and the 48 car as they come off the turn. Look for that 199 machine there, middle right-hand side of your screen. A little bit of a checkup, sets it up, and then right there, kind of no man's land for that one. And we talked about the hometown team with the Vegas Inferno. Both of those cars involved in that accident, not what they wanted to see.
And if you're Duvall there, right behind Graham Boland, you're playing a game of prediction. You either think that Boland's going to shut you out, you're going to give him a square hit to the rear bumper as we get a look further back with Alexander Russell. Great job from the rookie to get away from the plume of smoke and away from the accident, but you either think he's going to slide up in front of you, send the block, and you're like, fine, I'll just give you the shove in turn 1, or he's going to widen out to the left side of the racetrack and give you the opportunity of making it a middle charge 3 wide. So none of that happens. Graham Boland basically stays still, and Duvall gives him the shunt. Malik Ray on the outside with absolutely nowhere to go, and then Nick Ottinger on the outside of the racetrack just gets stuffed in. There were 4 wide, so not as much real estate to go around the accident, and several guys who almost nearly went head-on into the outside wall found their way with some minimum damage. But for Boland and for Ottinger, maybe more than enough to nearly take them out of this race tonight.
Yeah, it's tough for Nick Ottinger. Went without a race win last season. The last time he went a whole year without a trip to victory lane was back in 2017. Still, rough start for him here in 2025. One more reminder for NASCAR Fan Rewards members to enter tonight's code, Vegas, the number 2. PC on your member dashboard. You can earn 50 points. And if you're not a member yet, you can scan the QR code on the screen or visit NASCAR.com/fan rewards to join now. And there is more happening in the world of eNASCAR because the time attack for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series is currently open. Only 2 days left to go racing at Iowa in the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars. That time attack will qualify drivers in, and you'll catch that main broadcast right here on the iRacing Esports Network coming up in a couple of weeks' time on March the 18th. Let's update where our countdown to green picks are. Camille went with Nick Ottinger, 25. He was just involved in that accident. Not a good go for him. Tucker Minter's having an all right night, though. The other Logitech G machine, Allen's pick sit in P12. And Ryan went with Bobby Z, the number 22 car, right there next, in fact, to Tucker in P13. So bad. It would have looked better for Camille if we had looked at it maybe 5 laps ago, because Nick Ottinger was doing a good job. But they talked about Ryan Luza off the top of the show. He's the winningest driver in the land here in Vegas, and all of a sudden he is on the outside of the front row, Kenneth Bueno.
Remember in that package on Countdown to Green, he said, I'm still trying to get used to these next-gen cars, still trying to get a grasp of what these things are. His 4 wins prior to the next-gen era. But like we've seen before, when Luza finds his way at Las Vegas, that's when he strikes the iron hot, and he starts to build up several wins on the way to a potential championship run that resulted in him in a title back in 2017. So keep an eye on Luza. Femi's been overall the fastest car all race, but Luza knows this place better than anyone else in this 40-car field. We'll see where they stack up on the restart with 41 laps to go.
Green flag back in the air. Loses somebody else who went winless in 2024. Last time we saw that out of him, 2016. He's also looking to bounce back in. That's the second restart in a row, though, that Femi Olontinbosen left them in the dust. The iRacing drone follows the field through turns 1 and 2. A little bit of stacking up going on up the road. That's McCandless to the outside, the yellow and blue car on the outside. Some shuffling going on as we're now at speed at 180 miles an hour.
And take a peek at that car on the outside 3 wide. One of the first drivers that's doing that near 3 and 4. That's eRacer's Logan Clampett, who sat on the pole 2 weeks ago at the virtual Daytona International Speedway. And here he is after rolling off 27. He's saying to the field, you know, I came from the dirt like a sandstorm. He is pushing through the front end of the field right now. Gets the outside look on Zach Novak. And now it's a game of draft where you can push the drivers around you to get the best momentum. But just like the last restart, 3 and 4 wide in 3 and 4.
In a really close quarters racing there, Blake McCandless was on the outside. And again, you'd mistake this for an Atlanta, a Daytona, or a Talladega race. 3 wide, everybody pushing tight together. This went awry last time we tried it. Can they make it work this time? There's about a 5 to 10 lap window where they can hold this 3 wide off of the restart. And as the tires start to go, it'll be a little bit trickier for the drivers on the bottom to make that lane work. And it will eventually get back to 2x2. Look at that blue 97 car. Push it up off of the bottom. Minter was squeezing him 4 wide behind with the 36 and the 6 car in the center. Does anybody back out of that one? The 47 Vault to the inside. He keeps his foot in it, and the person that hits the eject button is going to be Kwame Scott. He's not clear, though. Only more 4 wide.
And that is the 47 all in the middle of all this. The 2 Sunoco Chevrolets for Letarte Esports. They don't want to dump each other as teammates. Quentin Warman for Hayak Motorsports on the outside. Connor Giroshak and a bunch of others that are still pushing their way through. It's give and take until there's under a certain amount of laps to go, and then, Evan, you start pushing the trigger further and further to make these moves. There's a look up front. The battle between the top 2 still within striking distance at about a car length or 2. Ryan Luza is hunting down Femi Olontinbosen. The real question is, how does he get around Femi? Will it be how Femi got the race lead earlier via the inside? They're spinning, though, right behind him, and it's Kwame Scott who goes on the outside of turn 4. Alexander Russell joins him, and once more, the yellow flag thrown from Las Vegas. Everyone going 3 wide at the back. It wasn't going to work.
Thought we were maybe going to be able to get away with that one. I don't know if any of the cars went all the way around. It was a big hit to Kwame Scott, you mentioned, who we were just watching in the battle of 3 and 4 wide. He's the car that gets spun first, and then he collected the 66 machine of Alexander Russell, who ended up slow against the outside wall, but the caution flag quickly thrown in that one, so we will slow things down once more, and we'll wait to wind it back. Again, this is back in the high 20s and kind of a 3 wide, not 3 wide scenario. I feel like Kwame Scott felt like that he was on the bottom lane, and the driver behind him was Michael Cozy Jr., who disagreed. Cozy felt like he had the inside, and they both went for the same piece of real estate into turn number 3. We'll watch this one develop, though, all the way through the corner.
You know, Evan, at this juncture of the race, where there is not that much time left, these drivers, especially in the 20s, are in the depths of desperation. So any move that they can make for any sort of gain track position, they're going to shoot for it. But, I mean, I think there's a little miscommunication there. Kwame maybe thought that he would clear Cozy into the corner and vice versa, but they just make the slight contact, and that's middle of that progressive banking. So Kwame is going to come up the racetrack, slide up, and that's where Alexander Russell sort of gets the tail end of the top. So there's another look at it. Cozy's nose is down there, tags Kwame Scott. Russell, who on the outside was trying to skirt away from it like hole in the wall, but just could not do it, and unfortunately gets tagged in on that left rear quarter panel that puts him into the outside wall. Probably would not be surprised, Evan, to see some toe link damage on the rookie of Russell's machine, though he may be indeed out of this one, but just a tough miscommunication sequence there entering turn 3.
And a decent bit of damage, too, for Michael Cozy Jr., who of course, was the nose that sent that car in front of him around. The initial contact with the 36 coming across the nose isn't what caused the damage, but they actually got separated, and then Cozy kind of hit him again on the way by. That's what sent that 36 up the hill, and that is some pretty significant damage on the nose of that machine, James.
Well, they were through the damage. We'll take a moment to talk to Femi Olot, who has control of this race. Femi, you and a lot of your teammates have been really, really successful. Where did you all find the speed in the last 2 weeks at Vegas?
I think we kind of started off with a really good base, so there wasn't really too much to do to find like raw speed. So my focus personally was just focused on the handling, getting it to where I wanted it, where I thought would be good in the race. And so far it's paying off.
Any pressure with trying to hold this lead for the last 40 laps or so?
I mean, there's always pressure, right? There's pressure if you're leading, there's pressure if you're 25th trying to get to the front. You just got to manage it best that you can, and I'm going to try to do that.
Looking for his first win in Coke Series competition since the season opener at Daytona in 2022.
He's in a good position to be able to do so and has a competitive race car. The question is, if this goes green through the end, is it a aggressive car now that's going to win this race? Or if we're in a situation where, Femi drove up from 10th to 1st, do you need some time to let it marinate? We got James again.
With Grant Bolin representing the Kansas City Pioneers. Grant, did you have any indication that you were going sideways until it actually happened?
I mean, I didn't expect the car to just full throttle my rear end, but once I saw the replay, I'm like, Dylan doesn't even say sorry. It's kind of crazy, but he lost his emotions obviously on virtual sim and couldn't handle getting race started by someone else after he walled someone out too, and he rushed me into one. So my car was destroyed. I was making up track position, but some people just got to be emotional.
We hear the thoughts of Graham Bolin there. That was for the yellow flag 2 cautions ago. Now his green flag is back in the air, and Femi Olot just continues to nail these restarts. Another big jump. Is it going to come to hurt him, though, once the rest of the field spools up and gets up to speed? Parker White leads the inside. Luza leads the outside. Where does the 7 go to try to play some defense? He'll shut down the inside lane into turn 3. 3 wide they go. It's the 11 Salas to the outside first.
That's the pole sitter going up top, looking to find some of that clean air that is most needed when everyone's 2x2 across this 1.5-mile speedway. But again, this is just like Daytona and Talladega, even a bit of Atlanta super speedway racing. If you're Femi Olot, you got to play both lines based on how the momentum swings in either direction. And when you've got Williams Esports' Parker White down low and Ryan Luza up high, 2 very strong drivers that Femi has to play a little bit of that defense on. But Parker White gets to the inside, makes the move for second. That's a near slide job move on Ryan Luza. Does he strike any further coming to 31 laps to go?
They are fighting all over the racetrack. A battle for the race lead on the top and some of the midfield 2 and 3 wide. Split up on the bottom of your screen. Everybody, having been grouped up at the halfway point for yellow number 1, have gone through these motions now a couple of times. 2, 3 wide action, restart, wreck, and do it all over again. Look at this midfield part. I think that's the 42 car to the very inside of Logan Clampett trying to make some move. He is one of the biggest movers, up 20 positions from where he started in this race. Oh, there's contact behind him, though. That 22 is Zelensky bobbles. Quick, snappy save, though, on the inside.
And Clampett hasn't had a better finish than 3rd in this specific Las Vegas race, and that came the way of 2019, where he led a bunch of laps in that race, but he's playing all of these games at the front end. And it looks like there's nearly a car sideways. That was Casey Kerwin, who got touched in the middle of turn 3, and now he's in the middle, 4 wide, outside 3 wide, but he does a wonderful job to keep his Chevrolet intact. Another huge scare that nearly brings us another yellow.
Didn't appreciate the contact from Blake McCandless. He makes that known over the radio, but it is a spectacular save for Casey to keep that car going. Does cost him several spots, though. Could have been a lot worse. The 24 finds some water to tread after falling back in the running order. He is right now in the number 24 spot, looking to bounce back up the hill. Is there enough room for all of those cars? 4 wide again with the 3, the 22, the 14, and the 19 car. Do we go 5 wide to the inside? We do, and it was never gonna work. 14's into the wall. They're stacking them all up, and it's gonna be a parking lot in turn number 2. Still wrecking all the way to the back straightaway. And it does not take an expert at the tables here in Vegas to know 5 wide, not a good bet.
And it was Tyler Gary, the Florida native, who made the move on the inside. I don't know whether he thought they would clear out and let him have some space in turn 1, or whether he was just peeking down there, but they were pinching Blaze Crawford at the inside of the racetrack. The rookie was going through the ringer in that trial nearly at turn 1, and there was enough space for a moment, but we'll take a look at the replay and see how it all unfolded. But it was minimal contact between Crawford, who sort of swerved to the left side. Gary was there, so it got into the Chevrolet's quarter panel. And then at that point, Evan, it is constructed chaos into the first corner.
And I'm not a professional race car driver. I will preface this take with that, but there's no scenario in my mind where this 5 wide move works. And maybe in half defense of Tyler Gary there, I think they're going to wreck anyways, because he goes down, makes contact with a 3, and then the 4 wide still wrecked anyways. So again, I think 4 wide was already game over, but certainly I don't see any logical, result for 5 wide at a turn 1 other than wadding up race cars.
Yeah, I mean, there's no space when you're already 4 wide, and when Eddie Kerner had made it for 3 wide on the outside of turn 4, he nearly wadded up into the outside wall, and they nearly collected Crawford the first time, and then there's the second one. I mean, you put too many cars in there, someone's going to hit somebody, and while Gary was just trying to give a bit of salutations to those at the front, I don't really know how it all shakes out, but one fault move, and then all of a sudden you have several cars that get taken out in this. It's just like a super speedway when everyone's on top of each other. Someone crashes, everyone else behind will feel the wrath of it, will feel the ramifications, and in turn will then end up either crashed or somehow banged up but able to survive. So again, we've got the yellow flag, and I don't think we're going to see that desperation come to a close, because we're going to have 25 and less laps to go on our next restart. So more of that aggression to come very soon, probably.
It is the self-fulfilling prophecy that drivers drive aggressive, it causes a caution, and what does that do? It takes laps off the board and it makes them more aggressive. Rinse, wash, repeat. It is that self-fulfilling prophecy. When it happens, when you get them all bunched up at the halfway point, we all pitted together, everybody was on the same strategy on fuel, we know we could all go to the end. This is what you would expect to see when you get, I know it was midway, but I'll still call it a late race yellow because it happened with 51 laps to go in the race and inside of that run to the end. The other thing is, I think this is probably helping Femi Olatunbosin, and I kind of half posed that question on the previous yellow, Kenneth. He had the drive through the field, took him 40-something laps to do so on the first run. Drivers were aggressive up front early. He was maybe a little bit more conservative, saved something for the end of the run, and was the best car after 50 laps. I think as the leader here, it's hard for him to take that same approach. He's got to be aggressive out of the jump. I think these yellows probably benefiting the 7 car and maybe hurting somebody who's back on row 4 or 5 who would have liked to have been able to get a long green flag run and repeat what the 7 did earlier in this race.
Yeah, and when you're Femi, I mean, you're controlling the restart, so everyone has to react to you. It's not the other way around. But there is a bit of a caveat in that, because if you have too many restarts, and if the driver on the outside of row 1 is the same driver every single restart, let's say if Parker White and there are more yellows and he's still there on the outside of the front row, he can predict where Femi's going to go. Femi can build a rhythm of when to jump, when to throw the field off guard, and then he may get caught with a blindsided full house, and all of a sudden Parker White or somebody on the outside of row 1, if it's not White, has the advantage. They can draw him even in turn 1, and then you've got a dogfight from there. So, there's a balance you got to really play in there as a driver, whether you want to jump early or how you want to differentiate the touch of the gas pedal and to make everyone go for the next restart. So Femi will have to weigh that carefully on his mind just to make sure he doesn't lose any crucial track position, because like we've seen in the pack, you drop one, you'll maybe drop a couple of others as added tax, and you may end up in the middle of the hornet's nest.
Green flag back in the air with 25 and now 24 laps to go in Vegas. Some of the field came down pit road for pit service. There was a wreck on pit road. The 17 of Holmes, the 8 of McCandless, the 47 of Dylan Alt all involved. That's going to hurt their strategy. It drops them to the back, so it's a mixed bag of cars. Your top 10 all running on 26-lap older tires. There is fresh Goodyear Eagles from there on back, and in the center of this, 4 wide again. To the outside is the number 21 Michael Guest. Is there room this time as they try to replicate the dive into turn number 1?
And look at the black and blue Chevrolet. That's Taylor Hurst for Team Dillon Esports on the outside. He's short pitted, 43 laps in this race under green, and now he's in the middle of it. Jordi Lopez nearly getting into the quarter panel of Hurst up top. They'll stay 3 wide, and it's about who can make the move to the inside or basically anywhere else. Michael Cozy Jr. says, I want a touch of it. The KHI machines will make it a sandwich off turn 4. Timmy Holmes is there, and again, 5 wide to turn 1.
Novak to the inside. They're going to go 5 wide into turn number 1. The 2 car backs out at the last moment. They will stay 4 wide. Now it's the 15 of Keister, sandwiched between the treetop KHI Chevys. They are bouncing all over each other at 189 miles an hour into the entrance of turn number 3. Meanwhile, up front, Olatunbosen continues to lead this race. Parker White in second, Donovan Strauss in third, but you can't take your eyes off of the chaos in the mid-teens.
And this is maybe going to be the product of the most recent yellow flag, like it has been, Evan, over the last 2 shorts. Green flag runs, and now Parker wants more. He'll go to the outside. Femi Olatunbosen to give him the side draft in turn 3. He'll dive it down low, but the car cannot take it through the apex. Parker White, new race leader with 20 laps to go at the stripe, and now they're crashing off turn 4.
Trouble behind the leaders. So far, they stay green. 5 wide. The 2 car goes through the grass, but keeps it pointed in the right direction. And now Novak is going to spin the car all the way around. Do we stay green? He's off of the racing surface. No caution. Not for long, though. There's the trouble. Nate Stewart's going to get turned. He goes high, takes out the number 88 car. It's a big hit for Briar LaPrade. And I am surprised it took that long. Continuous 4 and 5 wide is a finite resource, and they just ran out of room.
Just again, the real estate is all bought up. No one can win the auction. Everyone collapses at the same time. And I mean, this time it was only 4 wide, but it was a bit of a domino effect with the way Seth the Merchant was weaving the middle of that 4 wide action with the likes of Timothy Holmes there, Blake McCandless on the inside, Cody Bias at the very top end of that Nellis straightaway. We'll get a better look at that. The second time that Nate Stewart has been involved in a crash this evening. He was the product of our first on-track yellow. And right here, you'll see that red, white, and black, the Merchant machine scoot through the middle, but he bangs off a Bias, then hits Holmes, and then he gets hooked into Nate Stewart's Ford Mustang, and obviously the Jim Beaver Esports car with nowhere to go, and neither is there a place to roam for Briar LaPrade. He's at the back of this. You'll see the smoke bloom up. He tries to get around to the outside, but there's the rear end of Nate Stewart's car to greet him there. Briar LaPrade with heavy front-end damage, and Nate Stewart, his Ford Mustang, sent to pit road with a ton of damage as well.
You could instantly hear how that car sounded different after it took the hit to the outside. That'd be a jump scare for LaPrade up top, who tried to sneak through. At a mention, I thought these yellows might have been helping Femi Olatunbosen because, again, he had to be aggressive. I didn't think he'd be able to keep the fastest car through the end of the run. And it seems like even with the aid of having a decent amount of the laps on this run been run under the yellow flag, has just, I think, maybe used it up a little bit too much, especially being the control car on these restarts, because Parker White and Donovan Strauss looked stout on that run. Timing of this yellow is going to be big as well. Currently showing Femi Olatunbosen all the way down in the number 5 spot. But both of those Williams machines made the move on the outside. They were working together. And now you've had Donovan Strauss, who led 12 laps earlier in this race, and Parker White, who's leading his first laps of the afternoon now up front. Williams 1-2 on the front row for these restarts. Got them in an awfully good position as James Pike is on the radio with Seth the Merchant.
Seth the Merchant for FCCR RSL in here. Seth, what did you see from your perspective going down the backstretch in that incident?
I feel like I just got doored up the track into Chris, and then we kind of just all ping-ponged off each other, you know? With the way the draft is, we're all just on top of each other, and, you know, just how it goes on these late race restarts.
Can you explain to those watching just how hard everybody is having to race, given how important the draft is at Vegas?
It's just, all about trying to fight for a track position at the end. And with the way the side draft is, like, we're just, I don't know. There's not really much you can do, and everyone's fighting 3x3, and I don't know. Hopefully we can make it through this restart and try to gain some spots.
No quarter for a lot of this field, Kenneth and Evan.
And you kind of hear the frustration there, and everybody feeds into it, Kenneth. It's easy to say, in the mid-pack, if you don't want to be in trouble, just don't make that 3-wide move. The problem is if you don't make the move, somebody else is going to put that move on you. So it kind of forces these drivers to self-cannibalize in that mid-pack, because if you're not going for the spot, somebody else is.
Yeah, you're the hunter or the hunted. There's no in between. You can't just be in the neutral and hang around where you are unless the field is thinned out, to which they're not. And when you look at the segment that is later on this season, it's only 5 races, so each and every one of these events counts. And each driver knows that. They want to either get a win or get enough points in their tally to get some of that bonuses that come with the segment win. So everyone will be aggressive. 16 laps to go at the stripe. Only big crutch for everyone else is Williams Esports can control the restart inside and outside of the front row.
Will it be the final restart of the night with 16 laps to go? Green flag in the air. Better start for White than his teammate Strauss on the outside. The 95 clears quickly, looks to the outside, now comes right back down to the hashed white line on the inside of 1 and 2. 3 wide, 4 wide. Already, that's just outside of the top 10. McCandless on the bottom of that one. But as these cars get up to speed, they're going to get to race leader Parker White, who's going to make the challenge to the inside. Looks to 39 at Daniel Falkingham. They are 4 wide again off of turn number 3.
And remember, if they crash within the first 2 laps, and there goes Guest into the inside, sliding through the grass, and will anyone follow him? Christopher Hill is there. He skirts through the grass, and we are going to stay green. But I was about to mention, if we got a caution inside 2 laps of the restart, race control will take them single file for the rest of the way, but it will not happen. Parker White in control, and they're still 3 wide for top 10 spots behind him.
Big bobble. That's the number 19 machine of Eddie Kerner. He lost some momentum and some ground off of the corner. Going to pin that number 50 car behind him. Quentin Warman looking for a place to go. 4 wide again. This time it's inside the top 10. The 15 at Keister getting pushed into the mix. That was a shove courtesy of the 34 of Cozy. There's trouble now. Taylor Hurst gets tagged. He's in front of the field, and we'll stack him up again on the exit at 2 and down the Nellis straightaway. Another caution flag. This time it involves cars from the top 5. Taylor Hurst worked so hard, came back from an early pit strategy call to come down early compared to everybody else, and in the blink of an eye, it falls apart at 13 to go for him.
And it happens in the same place we've seen most of these accidents happen, Evan, in the middle of 1 and 2, specifically on that second corner exit is where Colin Keister taps the rear quarter panel of Hurst Chevrolet, and then the pole sitter Vicente Salas is in it, rookie Eddie Kerner is in it, Jordy Lopez for BS Plus Competition is in it. So a ton of heavy hitters that are taken out there, and Hurst, again, in his 9th start at this Las Vegas Motor Speedway in his Coke career, his best finish came at 10th, but he's had an average finish of 25.1. These races do not go the way of Taylor Hurst, specifically at the end. And once we get that second dial-up of the replay, we'll see how exactly things unfolded. But it was just minimal contact, and in the middle of 3 and 4 wide, Evan, there's nowhere to go.
And again, everybody kind of equal responsibility in those moves, but you're just not going to get somebody lifting at this point in the race. We'll wind it back and take a second look. Again, you'll see the big push courtesy of the 34 that kind of punts that 15 through the gap right there, gives him a little bit of a shove, and then he's looking to the inside, and again, it's kind of half a lane there, right? The 15 certainly moves up, but the cars behind him weren't that low. The cars in front of him were lower. It's kind of like a middle lane that doesn't exist, and it's tough, again, for Taylor Hurst. You're just running your line. You're not really trying to follow the car in line behind you, and it just runs out of room. Here's the onboard look with the Sunoco car on the inside. Again, check up there. That's going to be a little bit of right front damage, unfortunately, for Connor Urashak there. That car has not come down pit road. And one thing that has been easy to maybe glaze over late in this race, Kenneth, is the fact that there is a bit of varying pit strategy going on, right? We said at the halfway point, caution, cool, everybody's good to go to the end. Every yellow, we've seen a group of cars come down pit road, mostly for repairs, but some from the midfield on back for fuel and tires. All of your leaders have not pitted since that first yellow, 38, now 39 laps ago. But Colin Keister, P6, his tires are only 14 laps old. He pitted on one of the most recent yellows and has been working his way through the field. Cozy, Busa, Mullis, 8th, 9th, and 10th. They pitted 23 laps ago. They also have better tires than the cars in front of them. So all of a sudden, if you're Parker White, Strauss, Olot, and Boson, you don't have to be the best of your peers. You now have to start to worry about cars on fresher tires than you getting within striking distance.
Yeah, but the thing, Evan, that you need if you're on fresh tires is long green flag runs. That's where you make the most of your money on the varying strategy for Keister, Cozy, and all those guys at the back end specifically of this top 10. Because if this race goes into overtime, you need 2 laps, Evan, and on fresh tires, sometimes it doesn't work.
Well, we talked a lot about the team duos, and I shouted out those treetop Chevys earlier, but how about the Kevin Harvick Incorporated group right there with the 62 on the inside of Matt Busa, the 29 of Jimmy Mullis on the outside. They will make up all of row number 5 and restart in 9th and 10th position, so exciting to see what those cars are able to do. They had an okay night out in Daytona a few weeks ago. They would love to best this team duo, which leads the way. That is those Williams Chevrolets, who are last in the team points again early in the season, but certainly those 2 cars did not have the trip to the World Center of Racing that they would have liked to. If they can at least not take each other out, the number 1 rule amongst teammates, they are in a very, very good position to have, if not one of those cars win this race, have 2 really, really good results. And now you start to wonder, how many more restarts do we have time left for? This time by going to be 10 laps to go. Any yellows inside of the final 4 would push us to eNASCAR overtime. It's an all-Williams front row. Green flag back in the air.
And there's the wonderful restart by Parker White. But the problem is Donovan Strauss has to play the defense right behind in row number 3. Femi Olatunbosin is there, and so is the 39 machine for 6 Karma, Daniel Falkingham. These are all drivers that had a shot mostly to win at Daytona. They're 3 wide in the back behind them, but Donovan Strauss looks to the inside for the lead in turn 3.
3 wide behind them as the 97 of Tucker Minter goes up the center. He tries to get all the way to 3rd, but it'll be Williams Chevrolet side by side at 9 laps to go. The advantage that time, White on the outside by 5/1000ths of a second. Can Strauss make the bottom work? No, he'll push up. They get together. Minter gets sideways off of the corner. He's into the outside wall. Here comes Daniel Falkingham up the inside looking for P2.
And the push behind the fellow Ford Mustang of Colin Keister, like we said on the fresh tires, if this run extends past all the way it is right now, we stay green, this is where Colin Keister can start balling, and so is Michael Cozy Jr. in the foreground as well. He'll push to stage left. They'll be side by side at the entry of 1. Now middle 3 wide is Colin Keister nearly at the back. Femi Olatunbosin in the middle trying to make it work, and that helped Parker White. He's now up by at least a car length or 2 coming to 7 laps to go.
Falkingham pulls back in line, and now you really got to look for Keister. Those fresh tires giving that 15 a lot of grip on corner exit. The outside banking benefits Strauss there. They'll stay side by side, but look for the 15 of Keister, who's got 25 lap better tires than the leader. Cozy right behind him in line. His tires about 15 laps better. Through to 2nd is Colin Keister. He can now set his sights on the battle for the race win. Still 3 wide behind. It's going to make him nervous, but Keister lines up his shot.
And Keister last year finished 3rd in this Las Vegas race, but that was a product of the crash between Cody Bias and Nick Ottinger as Leahy swept away and got the W at the start-finish line. Keister is in a much more comfortable position, and like we've seen, specifically on the last several restarts, the 2nd car in line, or even the 3rd car in line, can get the race leader in a big run off any corner, and here comes Keister now. Push to the nose to the inside in 3 and 4. He's got to look at White. He's got a side-by-side look at the race lead off 4.
He's going to squeeze Parker White to the outside. The 95 pinches back down, make it a dead heat at the stripe. Now here comes Cozy. Where does the 34 go? No real estate. He'll lay in wait. Keister can't clear on the bottom. White, though, slides on the exit at turn number 2. New race leader at lap number 96. It's the first time that Keister goes to the race lead. He is clear of Parker White. Now Michael Cozy to the inside. He is clear for P2. Make it 4 laps to go in the desert.
And these two drivers, in Cozy and Keister, Evan, had started this race beneath the top 15. Cozy rode 17th at the green flag. Keister was at nearly the back in 28th place. So this call to get some fresh tires later in the run, despite all of the flurry of yellows that were coming their way, they're making use of it. I believe there may have been trouble at the back, but at the front, Keister's got control as they're still 3 wide, fighting for the 20s.
Cozy's done a lot of things as there's a lot of battling going on behind. He's had poles. He's led the most laps, but he is still looking for a first career trip to victory lane. Still 3 wide. This one for 11th position on back. Malik Ray in the middle of Tucker Minter and Dylan Duval. As Duval tucks back in line, can't make anything happen. Coming to 2 laps to go. Amongst your leaders, Cozy going to go to the very outside line, looking for career race win number 1, but he lost ground that time. 2 laps to go.
But that time by, Evan, although Keister was faster, it was a near mirror image lap for both of the top 2. That's where Cozy is trying to make his money on the outside of 3 and 4, where he gets that momentum off the progressive banking and tries to make it happen, but Keister may be too far up the road. They'll come to the white flag this time by. Colin Keister looking for the win at Vegas this time.
Colin Keister looking to go to victory lane for the first time since Charlotte Motor Speedway, May the 12th of 2020. White flag flies. This race is official. The Williams cars watch on. It's White in 3rd, Strauss in 4th. But is there anything that Michael Cozy Jr. can do? It's 1.5 car lengths into turn 3. Drives it into the bumper. He'll give a shot to Colin Keister. 15 bobbles, but keeps her pointed straight. And Colin Keister hits the jackpot in Las Vegas. You see, Cozy's so close to race win number 1. Instead, it'll be the 2nd career race win for the driver of the number 15 Ford. How about Colin Keister? And how about Jim Beaver Esports? Not a team in this series for the first time in a long time last season. They make a return here in 2025, and they have got a car headed to victory lane in week number 2 of the season. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, as it is a race win for Colin Keister in Jim Beaver Esports. Race win number 2 of his career as he looks to be headed to the postseason.
And there were some guts for Colin Keister and Michael Cozy Jr. Give them credit for their call to come down pit road when they did and bank on the fact that they could take the fresh tires to the front. It looked a little bleak when all those yellows were flying and they were making slim progress, but that's exactly what Keister and Cozy needed at the end. A semi-long green flag run to puncture their way through the field, start striking driver by driver, and then as soon as Keister got to Parker White, it may have been over. Cozy tried it. Keister the winner, though.
We take a look and see the Coca-Cola move of the race. How did it happen for Colin Keister? And it was a head-to-head move on the number 95, the defending series champion of Parker White, who did a very good job for having tires that were 25 laps older than Colin's. But once he got the inside positioning, his car had the bite to complete that pass on the bottom, where another car on 50-lap older tires would not have been able to do so. And give this 95 machine credit. Parker's washed out there. He pinches him right back down. They're in a dead heat to the start-finish line, but Colin Keister threw it into turn number 1 with such confidence. And as soon as he clears that number 95 in the center right there, never looked back and didn't really wait for the 95 to give him space. Cleared himself off the corner, made it happen, and he is now a 2-time race winner in this series. And the biggest thing of all, last time he went to victory lane that would not turn into a playoff appearance for him. In the 2020 season, there were more race winners than spots in the opening round of the playoffs back in that season. So Colin is looking to be a first-time playoff appearance here in 2025, and he is starting things off in the right direction. And again, he could not sail to the end because then that 34, Michael Cozy Jr. closed in, did everything he could, but he just wasn't able to get there, Kenneth.
He was not. I mean, Cozy threw it all in there for a possibility at taking Keister up the racetrack, but Keister hangs on for the victory.
We head to the Sunoco post-race report. Standing by with your race winner tonight, it's Colin Keister in Las Vegas Motor Speedway Victory Lane. Kenneth, I'll hand things off to you.
Colin Keister on the fresh tire call, moves up through the field, beats Parker White, and then Michael Cozy Jr. in those final laps. Colin, this is an emotional moment for you. Second career Coke Series victory. How meaningful is this one from Las Vegas?
Well, I didn't know how that was going to play out there at the end, but just glad to be here in Victory Lane after that race I was 3 and 4 wide the whole time, and luckily we made it through without getting wrecked. And I'm just glad to be sitting here in Victory Lane. I just want to say big thanks to Jim Beaver Esports for the continued support, and all the guys at Dead Zone, Houston Hamer. They make these setups fast.
Jim Beaver's going to be really happy about this win, and I know you are as well, Colin. Congratulations on the W from Las Vegas. We'll see you in the field. Take on Interlagos in 2 weeks' time, but until then, enjoy the victory. That is Colin Keister who wins the race, and that is a setup that has no driver in there. And I think that's Michael Cozy Jr. I think he'll join us now. So there comes Michael Cozy Jr. taking a breath after a hard-fought second-place finish here from Sin City. We are joined by Michael Cozy Jr. now. Michael, you threw it in there. It didn't work out, but the fresh tire call paid off for second. What was that like for you?
I can't even describe it, man. 25 laps ago, I was 30th. Taking fresh tires, man. I had a bad day. We had a bad race in Vegas, and then all of a sudden I finished second, man. It happens very quickly in this series. I tell you that. I shouted to Colin, man. I told him I didn't want to wreck him. You know, that was the last thing I wanted to do. But I had such a good run, and I had to give him just a little feel. You never know what might happen down there off of 3 and 4. But no, it's just my spotter DT told me he had 9 lap pressure tires. I knew I had fresh tires and everybody else in front of me, so it was really just a battle of getting through everybody else. And then however Colin got through there, I was going to try to either pass him before he passed everybody or follow him up through there. And we ended up following him up through there. And the car was just so good, man. I can't thank the Altus guys enough for bringing us another hot rod, man. It was a struggle the first run. And like I said, we got caught up in just a little bit of everything, man. Bouncing off everybody left and right. But my goodness, I just, like I said, shout out to Altus guys and this ERA Esports Chevrolet, man. I'm worn out. I'm telling you, it was a battle coming through there. Multiple miswrecks, cutting guys off. I mean, I was sideways off for multiple times. I'm lucky to tell the tale. And I'm just so happy to come home clean, and this is the career best for me, man. I've been trying to get that podium for a while, boy. But we just one short, man. One short. We're gonna get them next time. Maybe maybe not next week, but we'll get it. We'll be back on the ovals.
Hey, knocking on the door, though, that's the big part of it. Second place here at Vegas. Congratulations on the podium, Michael, and we'll see you guys at Interlagos in 2 weeks' time. So that is Michael Cozy Jr. finishing in second. Colin Keister, the race winner from Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Let's take a look at your Sunoco full race results tonight from Vegas. A lot of bow ties represented inside of the top 10, but it was the Jim Beaver Esports Ford of Colin Keister who goes to victory lane for the first time since 2020. He leads the way ahead of Michael Cozy Jr. You heard that, the career best for the ERA Esports team and himself, as his Chevrolet comes home in second. The Williams cars do make it to the end of the race. Maybe not the 1-2 they were hoping for, but great points for a team that struggled in Daytona. White in third, Strauss in fourth. Seth the Merchant ends up fifth after we were interviewing him halfway through this race about issues earlier on with Falkenham, Warman, Crawford, Olot and Boson, and Ray, your top 10.
Back in 11th, that is Tucker Minter over his third start at Vegas. Casey Kerwin went through a lot, but finished in 12th. Dylan Duvall the same in 13th with his Channel 199 sim racing teammate of Zach Novak. And you've got a lot of names down here. ERA, the second half of it with Bobby Zelensky in the top 15. Both of the Apex Racing Team cars in the top 20 as we take a look back. Everyone through the top 30. A lot of these guys got the brunt of the incidents at the end, tried to survive for some decent points.
The pole curse lives on. Haven't seen a pole winner here in Vegas since 2013. That continues for pole sitter Vicente Salas, who has to settle with a P30 in this one. And then further on down, really the highlight here for me, obviously a lot of drivers involved in accidents, right? Ottinger, Hurst, Russell, and more. But Steven Wilson never bounced back from that connection issue earlier. He ends up in 37th spot. Well, how about a unique challenge? It has been kind of a new tradition in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series that we head abroad once a year. And this year we head to Interlagos. It's round number 3 coming at us next time out, Kenneth.
We've seen, Evan, Europe represented well with Brands Hatch and Monza over the last several years of this series. First trip to South America, Interlagos, is going to be chaos, but a ton of fun.
And if you're a fan of the road course racing, you're a fan of that iconic motorsports cathedral that is Interlagos, the good news is you've only got to wait 1 week until we head there for next time. Until then, though, that is it for us here tonight from Las Vegas. On behalf of our entire team at NASCAR iRacing, for our friends on Countdown to Green, that's Camille Salazar Hadaway, Alan Cavana, and Ryan Vargas, and for your broadcast team tonight. For Kenneth Bueno and myself, Evan Pasoko, want to say thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in 1 week's time, Tuesday, March 4th, from iRacing's virtual Interlagos. That race and every race of the 2025 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found exclusively right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Until then, good night from Las Vegas, and congratulations to Colin Keister.
Good evening and welcome to post-race media availability for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. In a few moments, we are going to be joined by our race winner, driver of the number 15 Misadventure Ford Mustang Dark Horse for Jim Beaver Esports, Colin Keister. This is Colin's second victory in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series of his career. If you have questions for Colin, and you are watching via Twitch or YouTube, feel free to post your questions in chat, and we may have the opportunity to ask Colin your questions and get his thoughts on what questions you all might have after the race at Las Vegas. We will start, though, with the driver who gained the most spots in tonight's race, and that driver is the driver of the number 3 Coca-Cola Zero Sugar Chevrolet for Team Dillon Esports, Blaze Crawford. Blaze, a bit of a wild race, especially towards the end, and you saw a lot of it. What went into your strategy in the back half of tonight's event?
Yeah, at the start, I kind of just tried to keep it straight and just not really get involved in anything super early, and just kind of pick off spots as I go. And found my way up to the top 15, top 20 towards the end of the race, just by being smart and just gaining the respects of the some of the more veteran drivers in the series. Just trying to play it smart, and found myself towards the top 10 towards the end of the race.
All right. Likewise, to everyone watching on Twitch and YouTube, if you have a question for Blaze, feel free to put it in chat. For our members of the media and the press conference, we'll open up the floor for you to ask the questions to Blaze. If you could state your name and affiliation where you ask, that would be granted. We will start tonight with Justin.
Justin Malillo, iRacing.com. Blaze Crawford, congratulations on your first top 10 finish of your career and only your second start. It looked really crazy out there. Just describe the just how you had to get positions when you guys were 4, sometimes even 5 wide.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The first 50 laps of this race was a serious reality check. Like that in Coke, it is no joke. These guys will race you like it's for $100,000 if you're running 39th, and they'll race you like you're racing for $130,000 for first. So. Like, it doesn't matter where you're in the field, you've got to be 110% the whole time. And I found that out real quick tonight, running with Matt and Jimmy and Nick Ottinger, some of the people that have been in the series for several years, even back there in like 35th, man. Like, I felt great, and it was definitely a reality check, seeing how hard the racing is for sure up front and in the back.
Looking forward now, Interlagos next week, first road course race. Any thoughts on how that's going to go for you?
Yeah, well, it's not off to a good start. I thought I had 2 weeks to prepare. I've not been doing a great job checking the schedule like I should be, So I'm definitely going to start after I finish this race I'm in now to just put some laps together for Interlagos. I'm not a great road course racer, I'm not going to lie. So it's going to be a lot of studying, a lot of laps to run. I've got some great teammates over at North Sports Racing that are going to definitely help me with my road course skill. And really, I'm just going to kind of take it the same way I kind of had it planned for this year. I want to take the first few races and just gain the respect of those veteran drivers that are in here, the people that have been running for a long time. They deserve the respect, and I'm trying to show that by racing smarter and not messing up and not putting myself in dumb situations. So really just going to take everything in and learn, and we're probably sitting in a pretty good points position in the top 20 after that finish. So really just looking forward to just studying and learning and getting better 100%.
Blaze, as a rookie in this series, and with a run like this tonight, what does that do for your confidence? As you said, sort of in the first answer you gave, just trying to establish yourself as a driver in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is finally getting that first top 10 in only the second race. We looked like we had a chance to be up there at Daytona and got involved in something at the end of the race. But definitely a big confidence booster. And it's really nice, honestly, just going into these races and knowing I can compete at this top level. Like, I've made it. I proved myself, you know. So now it's a little bit less nervousness going into races and knowing that, like, I've got it. Like, I made it this far. I can go out here and run with the best. So definitely getting a top 10 definitely confirms that to me tonight. I just got to work on my qualifying craft, man, because that kind of bit me tonight. I felt like if I qualified up front, I could have been there the whole night. So really just got to work on that qualifying craft and just keep telling myself I can do it, because I know I can do it.
Blaze, one last question for you from HIAC Motorsports, Ian Fisher, who wants to know, what is your go-to Chick-fil-A order?
Well, Ian, thank you for asking. Right now, my favorite thing to get, just because for those who don't know, I am a manager at Chick-fil-A. That's what I do during the week when I'm not running iRacing. So I eat it a lot. But my main thing to go to is a spicy sandwich with Colby Jack, pepper jack cheese, and bacon. I get some extra pickles because pickles are just, I love pickles. A large fry, and then if I'm feeling a little bit fat, I'm probably going to get a chocolate shake with it too. But with eating it a lot, I have to change it up with sauces all the time. So if you're going to Chick-fil-A, please try any of our sauces because they're all amazing. I know a lot of people just stick with just Chick-fil-A sauce, but there's a lot more out there that is good. So that's my go-to order. I eat it a little bit too much, just, you know, working there, but that's the way to go for sure.
Colby Jackson play and extra pickly pickles like Bubble Bass, perhaps, maybe?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we got the Smokehouse barbecue sandwich coming in a couple weeks. That's our limited time item for the spring. So be sure to go try that out soon when we release it here in mid-March.
News on menus before it gets out to the public. That is Blaze Crawford. We now turn our attention to our race winner, Colin Keister. And Colin, this was set up by that strategy call to come in on lap 75 to get the tires. What went into the decision to come down and pit for fresh rubber?
Well, I actually was supposed to pit on the caution before, and my spotter was not thrilled about me staying out. And we got lucky that caution came out a few laps later and decided it was time to pit and see what we could do with it, and it worked out in our favor.
We'll now open the floor to questions for Colin. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, feel free to add your question in chat. Those who are in the press conference here, if you would raise your hand and state your name and affiliation if you want to ask questions. We'll start once again with Justin.
Thank you, James. Justin Miller, iRacing.com. Colin, you had the defending champion ahead of you. You had a driver who hasn't won a race before behind you. Just how did you get into that position, and how did you come up on top tonight at Las Vegas?
Right strategy call at the end got us up there with tires, and I knew I had the best tires there in the top 10 on the restart. And I was able to get up to Parker and get by him. And then I actually saw Cozy reel me in at the end of the race. I think I burnt my stuff off, but we were able to hold on just long enough and bring it home.
This isn't your first win. This is your second win. It's your first, though, since May 12th, 2020 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Just how's that journey been like over the last 5 years to get back here to eNASCAR Victory Lane?
It's been rough. I definitely lost a touch there for a while, and I still don't know if I'm as good as I once was, but I think we finally found a little bit of speed here, and I hope I can continue running this well for the rest of the season.
Next week is Interlagos. That is first road course race of the season. What is your outlook on that?
Road course, not my forte, that's for sure. I'm going to put a lot of laps in here over the next week, and I'm hoping to just come out of there with the top 20 and get some decent points, because I typically do not run well at road courses.
Colin Bowden.
Yeah, I got a question for you, Keister. Now that you helped you win a race here on the strategy call, do I owe you a wedding present anymore?
I don't know. I think you might, man. I invited you up there, fed you, let you drink, and you still didn't get me anything. I don't know. We'll see.
A question from chat for you, Colin. With the racing that we saw here tonight at Las Vegas, how hard was it to maintain or gain track position in a field that is this competitive?
It was very hard to gain track position. I was lucky enough, if you could get in the middle line and just sail it off into the corner, you had enough grip Definitely, if you could stay in the middle, the top and the bottom, you kind of got stalled out, but you could really drive it in the center of the corner and just hope you clear the guy on your outside and just keep chugging along.
What does it mean to you to be back in Victory Lane, given how much the series has changed since you were last in Victory Lane in Charlotte?
It means a lot to be back in Victory Lane, especially knowing that I need to keep it in the top 20 in points, and as long as we don't have more than 10 winners, then I'll be fighting for a championship at the end of the season. So it's huge.
Also from chat, what was going through your minds in the middle of 3 and 4 that last lap when Cozy got into you a little bit?
I was just thinking, save this car, because I've had a lot of issues overcorrecting since I got this wheel, and I was just saying, keep it straight and keep chugging.
What wheel are you running?
It's a Sim Magic Mini.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Colin, now that you've got your sort of mindset shuffled here, now that you've got the win, how does it change your outlook for the rest of the season?
Just changes where I don't need to do any crazy strategies. I just need to, like I said, run consistent, be top 20 every week, and try to keep a good points position here and be there at the end so we can make the playoffs.
Well, Colin, congratulations on your second career win in the Coke Series, and we look forward to seeing you down in Brazil at Interlagos in 2 weeks.
Thanks, guys.
We now turn our attention from our race winner to our runner-up this evening, the driver of the number 34 ERA Esports Team Chevrolet, Michael Cozy. Michael, we start here with the important questions because we love to ask the important questions here on these press conferences. How important are ruffles and mustache to your race prep?
Pretty important, man. I'm not gonna lie. I lost a lot of practice today, cleaning up some new kitty puke. We had a rough day today with the food. It was all right though. We were dialed in. Mustache kept the simulator warm for me, and we had a bright and happy day over here.
So we're adjusting.
Oh yeah, it's a big adjustment. The other two cats are pissed. I'm not gonna lie. We have a divided household at the moment, but it'll be okay in time. I believe.
Divided household and cats, but I imagine they're all united and seeing you have a good run. We'll open it up to the floor for questions and start with Justin. As always, if you're watching in chat and you would like to submit your questions in chat for Michael Cozy, go ahead and we might have the opportunity to ask them. Justin.
Thank you again, James. Justin Malillo, iRacing.com. Cozy, you pitted on lap 66 after the whole field had come down about 15 laps earlier. What went into that decision to pit? And how were you able to get through the field when they were running 4, sometimes even 5 wide?
That's a wonderful question. Honestly, I wasn't sure which was that my last pit stop. Do you know that for sure? I think it was.
That's what I'm seeing here. Lap 66 into the pit road.
Okay, yeah. So I just got damaged, and that's why I hit pit road. It was one of them kind of days where it's like, you take one step forwards and you go 2 steps backwards. I qualified all right. I went forwards, and it was just like everything after that. It was just like there was a wreck in front of me, and I got damaged from that. And I had to put a new front clip on the first time. And then I guess that was the second time I got damaged, and I was right there. We'd gone at least 10 laps, I think, from the point where everybody stopped around halfway. So at that point, I was like, well, it's not the worst thing in the world. Caution. I want to fix my damage. I want to put 4 tires on. I know the car's fast. There's not a lot of time left, but the main thing was just getting that damage repaired, putting 4 on it. We got some adjustments in it, and that was. It all just came together there. I was telling DT after the race, I for whatever reason, I just can't put a normal race together, run a good strategy, and finish okay. I always get knocked off line, have to pit for damage, this and that happens, and then this is the only way I feel like I can finish good. But like I said, we got lucky today. I will take it any day we can get it. But that's sometimes it just the race falls your way, and then everybody. Gosh, like I say, the car was so fast. Try to Altus boys, man, this thing was a ripper. And once we got some adjustments in it, we got 4 fresh tires on it. It was it was the Red Hawk, current events, Captain America fan. screw all these guys. I'm passing everybody. I'm blocking everybody. I'm taking every run, and that's what we did. Lucky, I don't think I wrecked anybody. We had a couple little incidents here and there, but no, that was it. And by the grace of God, we got the P2.
I do have to ask, on the final lap in the final corner, you did give Colin a little bit of a shot. Do you wish you would have given a little bit harder of a shot, or was there anything else you could have done there?
No, the mistake I made was running top of 3 and 4 with 3 to go, I think. I felt really comfortable up there, and that was about the only line I felt like I could run first half of the race. And I was just trying to get a run on Keister because I knew the run could be manufactured, but I just plowed when I got up there. And I think it was too early in the run to do that, and I just lost that. I basically gave up the 10th. So if I would have gave that 10th back, it's hard to say how it would have played out. But even making that mistake, going down the back in the last lap, I was like, I'm still close enough where I think I can drive in here and at least hit him a little bit. That's the biggest thing with me. I honestly I hate the racecraft nowadays and how people race each other for wins. And that was the last thing I wanted to do. I told Keister that was the last thing I wanted to do was go in there and wreck him or hit him in any kind of way. But it's just so dang important, man. And you just never know when that next opportunity or next shot's going to come. So I had to at least get him down there, and I feel like he would have done the same to me. So, I'm glad I didn't wreck him most importantly. And it was overall pretty clean, but it's a tough line, man. It's really tough. And I've thought about that many times. What am I going to do when I'm in that position? If I'm ever lucky to be. And I was tonight, and that's about how I'd probably handle it 10 times out of 10, hopefully without wrecking the guy. Just like I said, it's on me that I wasn't fast enough. And again, he had 9 lap fresher tires, so we'll give him that. But I think if I was better, I would have got there and had a better shot at maneuvering around him for the win.
Michael, we know you love to stream iRacing so much on your Twitch channel. When we see NASCAR 25 come out, can the fans of your channel expect some NASCAR 25 streams on the horizon, perhaps?
Oh,
maybe?
yeah, absolutely. Streams, videos, the whole 9 yards. I'm hoping one of my friends at the iRacing, the NASCAR 25 folks, I'm going to hope they'll ship me over an early copy, maybe.
That's your off season. It's 25 and maybe some flying boxcar action, perhaps, maybe.
Oh, oh man, I can't wait to get to a game, man. I didn't get one last year. I'm gonna get one this year, by God.
Well, congratulations, Cozy, on your second place run tonight. We'll see you at Interlagos in 2 weeks. We're now joined by our third place finisher in tonight's race at Las Vegas, the driver of the number 95 Williams Esports Chevrolet, Parker White. Parker, you were sort of the leader, especially towards the second half of this race, on the main strategy. How difficult was it to maintain track position with all the alternate strategies that were playing out behind you?
Not really that hard, to be honest. Our car was a lot better than I thought, to be honest. I didn't really feel all that confident in our pack tests. There wasn't really much I could learn just by doing solo 30-lap runs, just because of how much grip the track had. I didn't go through much changes, but we were really fast to start, and I found myself, I think I was racing like Loser or someone, and I felt like I was pushing really hard, and I feel like I burnt the right rear off way too early in the run, so I kind of just slowed down a bit, just ran the bottom of the track, just tried to keep the right rear on it, and eventually we got around lap 35 or something, and it felt like the car just completely came back to me. I had all the grip I needed. Was eventually able to get around Don. I got up into third before we got our first caution. So, like I said, I was kind of caught off guard by the pace we had. I didn't really expect to run that good. I felt pretty confident qualifying earlier today. I was able to qualify inside the top 10. So it was really just playing in my favor. And I was fine with just sitting in the top 3 until it got down to 20 to go or something. And then that's when I made the move on Femi. And I knew it'd be pretty hard to hold off the rest of the field. I had Don behind me. I knew he'd want to win. We raced each other for a bit. And then we got a caution with I think it was 25 to go or something, and we had to make a decision whether to pit or not, and we decided to stay out. And I thought that would for sure be the right call, just because we were still basically wide open at that point. Very little tire fall off, so I didn't really think tires would matter that much. But obviously, Colin put tires on it and drove right up to us. So once he got there, I tried to fight him for a bit, but there was nothing I could do. And same deal with Cozy. I just let him go. Be cool to get a Cozy win, so I'd see if I could push him up there. But overall, like P3 isn't bad at all. Coming out here as points leader, so can't be too mad about that.
As always, if you've got questions you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, feel free to post them in the chat for Parker. You all will open up here in the press conference to the floor. If you'd state your name and affiliation, we'll start again with Justin.
Justin Malillo, iRacing. Parker White, your last finish outside of the top 3 in this series was Pocono, all the way back, and I want to say July. With these finishes and these results, you just mentioned you're leading the points. And I know Steven had his issues tonight with his internet, but does this just say to everybody else that if anybody's going to beat you, they got to come and take it?
I mean, that's not really the way I look at it, to be honest. Like, I kind of go into every race thinking like everyone's kind of on the same level as me, and like if I'm outperforming them, then that's great. Like, I've never really liked to go into the races with a mindset where like I'm like the best driver or anything. Like that's just how I've always been on iRacing. So for me personally, I wouldn't necessarily say that because there's a lot of guys on NFR that we test with every week that are super quick. And like I said, I don't really feel all that confident in our pack tests. Although I felt like I was pretty decent. But yeah, at least for me, that's not really the case.
It's a fair point, but next week is Interlagos, and we know you're good on the road course. Are we going to see you get your first road course win next week at the new track?
I mean, it'll be pretty hard to tell, to be honest. Graham Bowen and I did kind of like a send session where we just kind of raced each other the other night. And I really like the way the track races. I think it's going to provide for some really good racing. But like winning wise, it's going to really depend on where I qualify. If I get lucky with the invert or something like Chicago and I can like start towards the front. But pretty excited to see how it's going to race. I've always enjoyed racing at Interlagos and like officials like GT Sprint series like that. So I think the next gen is going to drive pretty good around that track. I had a league race there a couple years ago in the ARCA cars, and that track race pretty good. So we'll just have to wait and see how the qualifying plays in my favor. If it doesn't play in my favor, I'll just have to see how I can get through the field. And obviously, like you said, road courses are my favorite. So yeah, just have to wait and see.
Parker, how heavy is the trophy behind you?
It's pretty heavy. I think Daniel Falkins actually won to unbox that trophy because I think I was racing like the Daytona 24 or something when it arrived at my house. So, but yeah, it's pretty heavy. When I got to lift it with Dale Jr., it's pretty heavy. So.
Parker, congratulations on your podium finish this evening here at Las Vegas. We look forward to seeing you as well down in Brazil in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
From Parker White, we now turn our attention to the driver of the number 7 GGT Energy Solutions Chevrolet for Spire Motorsports, Femi Olatobasan. Femi, busy race, crazy race in a lot of senses, but how proud are you of this run after the speed you showed consistently throughout the evening?
I mean, I guess I'll be happy, right? Almost lost a lot of positions at the end, but still came away with the top 10. I guess I would say I was pretty disappointed at the end of the race because I thought I had a car to win for a majority of that race. And I think we're just a couple laps away from green flag stops. And had that happened, I feel like it would have been very difficult for a caution to come out that could, kind of jumble up the field. But I guess I'd say pretty happy with how I ran.
We'll open it up to chat and the floor. We'll start with Justin here on the floor. And if you have a question for Femi in chat, whether or not you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, feel free to enter your question in chat, and we might have an opportunity to ask Femi. We turn our attention back to Justin.
Just below at iRacing. Femi, you led the most laps tonight, and you really did have what looked to be the strongest car for the first 2/3 of that race. Was there anything you could have done to keep Parker behind you and keep the control of the race?
I think the only thing I could have done differently when Parker did pass me was kind of run more defensive in turn 1 and 2. But in my opinion, in my mind at that time, I was thinking if I do that, he just ran the bottom. He had Donnie right behind him, a Williams teammate, and I thought like they could just work together and pass me at any moment. So I kind of just ran the line that I wanted to run, and it didn't work out, but there wasn't anything I was going to change at that point.
2 top 10s to start off this season. Next race up is Interlagos. What's your outlook going to Brazil next week?
I'm not looking forward to it, man. Not one bit. You guys are talking. You guys are talking to me after this race. I can guarantee you will not be talking to me next week. But Interlagos is a great track, but it'll be good to drive. I won't be competitive though. That's for damn sure.
Femi, we want to let you know that some Steven Wilson fellow who's pretty good at this last time we checked wanted to make sure that chat knew that this guy rocks, this guy being Femi. So how great is it to have the support of a former eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion like that to say that, he thinks you rock? Isn't that great?
Steven's my guy, man. I look at him like a little brother. It was unfortunate when he disconnected tonight. I thought he and I would be battling for the win for a good portion of the race. But, we're always working together, trying to figure out different ways to get the car balanced, where we want it. He likes something a little bit different than what I like, but, we kind of combine the two minds together to come up with something that can, dominate a race like tonight. But I'm happy. Steven's my guy, so.
I think one of the interesting things I noticed tonight, for those who don't know, that here in our voice chat setup with the series, each driver has their own individually assigned room that they can hang in. But you spent a lot of time in Steven's room this evening, and I feel like that's a pretty good indicator of how tight you are in a racing sense. What's that relationship like when you're trying to work together in race?
It's just kind of feeding information on how the car is feeling throughout the run in the race, and where we're kind of searching for grip or where we're finding grip in various parts of the track. And then it's always good to race with somebody else, because even under green flag, man, he could crack a joke here, I could crack a joke there, and it always keeps the kind of takes away from feeling too much pressure. I know I was asked that question earlier, so it's just a good time racing together.
We know under yellow, he's probably singing Taylor Swift. What are you singing when we go into yellow?
I'm not singing.
Nothing.
I'm not singing anything. If anything, I'll be singing Beyonce. Steven. That's it. Steven likes Taylor. I tell him Beyonce is better.
That on your playlist this week? Any tunes that the iRacing community should go be listening to, courtesy of Femi?
Yeah, I mean, we got some 2000s hip hop going in the background at all times. I think right now I just had to pause a little win to do this interview, but I'd say, and that's what I'm listening to, at least 2000s hip hop.
So you're crazy in love with your playlist?
I'm crazy in love with the playlist.
Fair. Femi Olot, congratulations on your top 10 run. And I've just been informed by Steven that it's now Tate McRae that he's going to be singing. So fans in chat, you can check that out too. But whether or not it's Tate or Beyonce, you got some good times at this bunch. We turn our attention now from Femi to the driver of the number 1 Vegas Inferno Chevrolet, Malik Ray. Malik was our top mover in our race, our hard charger, picked up 24 spots from start to finish, rolled off in 34th, ended up with a 10th place run. And Malik, did your strategy pivot over the course of this race at any time? And how much did it pivot in order for you to find your way up front?
I was just trying not to get wrecked, man. I'd be nervous around like all these drivers that are in here, and it's just everybody races like like it's like the last lap every lap, and I just be trying to just make sure that I'm not getting like involved in any of their stuff. So, I did get involved in a wreck on like lap. It was like 50 or so. I had to come down and get tires and stuff like that. I got my tires, and then after that, I just drove scared the whole time. I was just trying to make sure I didn't get wrecked, and it paid off for me. So I'm happy about that.
Question from chat from our good friend Violent Panda. How is it driving the best looking car in the entire field?
It's sensational, man. I mean, like my paint scheme, I feel like is like by far is better than anyone else's. I know Blake's is a close second, but I mean, mine's like by far the best one. So.
Also, for those who are unaware, there are stories and there's a legend of a fabulous foot race that you had with Jordy Lopez at Media Day. Do you want to maybe shed some light for the fans watching at home on what went down on that and how that played out?
That was actually with Femi, and I respect Femi, so I ain't gonna dog on him too much. But I mean, like as soon as someone said 3, 2, 1, I mean, like I was like 10 yards ahead of him, but like as soon as it started, so it was pretty, it was a quick race, man. It was quick.
So not as intense a rivalry as what you've got with Jordy Lopez on the basketball side.
Oh no, that's not even that's not. I didn't even know Jordy was still in the series, man. That's not even a rivalry anymore.
Fair point. Let's open it up to the floor here. We'll start with Justin. If you've got a question for Malik, drop it in chat.
Justin Malillo at iRacing. Malik, you were the biggest mover tonight. You got that 10th place finish. It's your second top 10 in 2 races this season, which puts you 3rd in the points. Talk about that strong start to the season and what your outlook is going to be heading into Interlagos next week.
I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I know Interlagos is gonna look pretty ugly. I'm like 2 seconds off my teammates right now. I'm putting in work, but I'm just not putting in enough work, obviously. I'm gonna try to practice some more, and I'm gonna see like if I can pick up some time on them. But I mean, it's not looking too good for Interlagos, unfortunately. But I know the next 4 races after that, I am looking forward to every last one of those. So hopefully, I can get like a top 5 or like a top 10, and or like a win. So.
And you had to have been looking forward to tonight's race too. I mean, first race for the Vegas Inferno at Las Vegas, a home race in a sense for you and your team. What's it been like working with those guys? Just even though it's so early in the season.
They're like a really hands-on group. I don't really have to say too much to them. They're like pretty perfect in all like aspects. I mean, the social media, they have like a watch party and they watch our races and stuff like that. And they're in my chat and they're always like cheering me. They're always like, cheering me on and stuff. I mean, like they're like a really like active, involved group. So I really appreciate them for that. And Panda for picking me up too. I appreciate him as well.
Malik, what's your mentality coming out of this with the opportunities that you're going to have, especially once we clear Interlagos? Do you try and go a little bit more offensive, defensive? Is getting that win just an absolute must? If you got the opportunity, you're going all out for it if you can get it?
Hail Mary. Every single race after Interlagos. I'm not a huge top 5 guy. I mean, like I'll throw away a top 5 if it means that like I'm gonna have a shot at a win. And I've done that several times, and I mean this season is gonna be no different. So
full on Doug Flutie versus Miami, basically.
No question. Yeah.
Makes sense. Once we clear Interlagos, any tracks on the schedule that you're really sort of circling and looking at and saying, this is a place that I have an opportunity to get a win at?
Charlotte, Talladega, Nashville, really just those 3. I think there's another like mile and a half that I'm missing, but I mean I have all 3 of those circled because I feel pretty confident at all 3 of those tracks.
Kansas would be the answer to that.
Yes, yeah, it was that one, yeah.
So basically, once we get to like late May.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Malik, congratulations on your top 10 and being the biggest mover in tonight's race. Thanks for the time as always, and we will see you in Brazil next week. Rather into it. Correct myself. So, we turn our attention now from the drivers to the results of this evening's race. Second race of the season at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Colin Keister, Michael Cozy Jr., and Parker White, your top 3. Donovan Strauss and Seth the Merchant complete the top 5. Falkingham, Quentin Warman, the rookie, with a great run in 7th place. Crawford bringing it home for the rookies in 8th. Femi Olat and Malik Ray, the top 10 in tonight's proceedings. Was a little bit further down the running order, and some big-time names who had some adventures to try and make it through everything, but ended up with some strong runs. Tucker Minter and Casey Kerwin, chief amongst those folks who had to fight a little bit and definitely were sideways or in the wall at points to try and save their cars and keep it in one piece, but come away with good finishes. Duvall, Novak, Zelensky in there too. Solid runs for Cody Bias and Christopher Hill. Hill especially with the rebound after a bit of a slow start to proceedings this evening, but comes back and ends up with a 17th place finish. 2 weeks until we are back in action, but in 2 weeks' time, we turn our attention to the first road course race of the season and the first time this series visits Brazil. Interlagos next on the schedule for the Booth team here at iRacing. Evan Pachoco, Blake McCandlish for the Countdown to Green team of Camille Salazar Hadaway, Alec Havana, and Ryan Vargas. And for our producer, Drew Adamson, and the wonderful team at iRacing, we say good evening from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And we'll see you in March. We go visit road racing for the first time in 2025 at Interlagos.